Did you know women are more likely than men to develop dry eyes, which may be due to hormonal changes during the menstrual cycle or after menopause, and the use of oral contraceptives? Give your dry, burning, or irritated eyes a daily refresh with Refresh Optive Mega 3 Lubricant Eye Drops, a preservative-free formula that provides fast-acting, lasting relief. Refresh Optive Mega 3 is safe to use as often as needed. Find Refresh online or in the eye drop aisle at all major retailers.
Today, we'll have Taraneh's land and sea trip. That's coming up on this episode 460 of WDW Prep To Go. Hello and welcome to WDW Prep To Go, where we talk strategy and ideas for people planning their Disney trips. I am your host, Shannon Albert from WDWPrepSchool.com. Thank you for being here for episode 460. Today is another trip report. If you are a fan of trip reports, you have been having the best time because we have had so many and there's more to come. And this one happens to be a land and sea. So I think that for a lot of people, they are considering cruising. Cruising's gone up a lot in recent years, Disney cruising in particular. And so these short trips out of Port Canaveral make it easy to pair it with a Disney World trip and test it out. And that's what Taraneh did on her trip. It wasn't a first time cruise for them, but it is something that you could learn from, I guess, in just sort of hearing their story and seeing how it went. I'll have that for you in just a second. As always, a reminder to follow on social media. We are always posting stuff there. We also have an email list that we send out 1 to 2 emails per week to keep you on top of all of the latest news plus our content so that you can see that as soon as it's published. Most recently, that has included the 2026 crowd calendar. So if you are thinking about a 2026 trip, be sure to check out our crowd calendar, which we just published recently. And if you're on the email list or on social media, you probably already saw it there, but otherwise you can go to the website and find it. It's linked from the main menu, the crowd calendar on the main menu. I think that is it for the intro. Here are my chats with Taraneh. Welcome to the podcast, Taraneh.
Thank you. Nice to be here, Shannon.
We're talking on Friday, April 4th. I understand you're headed to Florida soon.
Yes, I am.
What's your trip plans and trip dates?
So we are traveling down for a Disney cruise, followed by a few days at Disney World. And it's from April 10th through April 16th.
Okay. And I'm going to guess it's not your first time to Disney World. Is it a first Disney cruise?
No, not at all. I actually tallied this up. Since my daughter turned 2, she is now 7. She has been on some combo of Disneyland, Disney World, or Disney Cruise 13 times with this trip. So we are not new.
Not new.
Nope.
Okay. So then how did you decide to go on a land and sea trip right now?
We've done it before and love it. My husband actually prefers cruises to the hustle and bustle of Disney World. So my daughter has spring break starting the week of the 14th, and we were trying to fit something in last minute. I actually got really good flight deals with the dates. I think I did the 10th to the 14th. So I was really just trying to find a trip that fit within that time span. I actually looked into Universal a lot because we just went on a 3-generational trip in February, which was, 2 months ago. But I plugged in the dates, decided to look into cruises, and it just fit perfect. So my birthday's on the 11th, and the cruise leaves on the 11th. The timing just worked out great. And they also had guaranteed rooms available, which we had never tried before. So I kind of couldn't pass up.
Okay, I'm looking forward to talking through that then. So you mentioned, I think you said your husband and your daughter, right? Is that who's going?
Yep. So my daughter's 7 and my husband and myself.
Okay. All right. And then you said it starts Thursday, April 10th. And
yeah, we're flying in Thursday night.
Okay.
So that's sort of, a throwaway day, if you will, but that gets us down there before the cruise.
That's right. And where are you staying that night?
We're staying at the Hyatt in MCO, which we have not done before. My sister stayed there once post-cruise for a day reservation and said it was great. And I've heard you rave about it as well. So that's what we're doing.
It's so convenient. And I love that when you get to your room, you get to treat the airport terminal like it's your own personal. It's like a food. You just walk down to the food court.
I was just thinking that. Yeah, plus it's a late like, we get in kinda late, around 8:20ish, and that's usually when my daughter's about asleep, so this was the most convenient way for us to scoot her right off the plane into the hotel room, so it was no question that was the best option.
It is nice. And for people that wanna do Disney transportation to the port, they pick up there as well if you
That's what
want
we're
to.
doing. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Not I didn't
Oh,
mean to spoil that. So
that's okay.
Friday, April 11th is when your cruise actually begins, and so Disney transportation is picking you up?
Yes, and, I've heard other people talk about pricing out if they think it's worth to do private shuttle or whatnot, and to us, it's not even worth us looking into it because you get the early boarding, and right
Mhm.
now we're still silver, so that could affect when we get on, so
For
we love
people
that
that don't
option.
understand that, let's talk about it because you said you're silver, so that means that you have been on what, 1 Disney cruise before?
No,
Or
this'll
do
be our 5th,
oh, so
actually.
you'll be gold after this one. Okay.
Yeah.
But you're still at that lower tier, so that means a later port arrival time usually, but with Disney transportation, how did it change it for you?
Yeah, we've done it before, so they'll pick us up right at the Hyatt, like you said, which is great,
Mhm.
and I didn't even check in right at midnight, I think, because of how late we booked this. We had some opportunities that were missed because of how late we booked the cruise, so I was late to check us in, but we got boarding group 3. It stuck us right at the beginning just because of it, and in the past, when we've gotten there with the bus, they literally just get us off the bus and let us right in.
Mhm.
Usually, we don't have to wait very long to get on the ship.
Yes, and for those of you that have kids that are in car seats still, I assume that it's easier for that as well.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, anytime we've gone, she wasn't really in a car seat, but
Mhm.
you don't need to be on the bus, yeah.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there anything between your arrival at Hyatt the night before and then Disney transportation picking you up? Do you have anything being delivered or anything going on?
No, I was debating that with my husband because he's brought drinks on before, like
Mhm.
beer, but I don't think he's gonna do it this time. I actually don't even know if the airport has alcohol. That would be one of the things we would just grab out of convenience.
Yeah, we've had it delivered to the Hyatt,
Oh,
like an Instacart thing,
okay.
because they can do that and then you can take it on the bus the next day. But we also don't take alcohol on the cruises anymore. So, it's lots of ways to do it.
Yeah, he's like a moderate drinker. I just don't think he'll worry about it this time because it's a pretty short cruise too, so
And is it on the Wish?
it is.
Okay. All right. And have you been on the Wish before?
We have actually, that's the one we've been on the most. This will be our 3rd time on it,
And is that
and
because you like the land and sea combo?
yes, I can't just go on a cruise and not extend the trip. I just love Disney too much, so I always tend to tack on days. We love the Wish. We think it's beautiful. The
Mhm.
only one we had been on prior to the Wish was the Dream, so we didn't have a ton to compare it to,
Mm.
but we really enjoy it. This was the Wish because of the dates, and because where we live, there's direct flights right down to Orlando, so that seems fast for us to pull that off.
And I think a lot of people that are new to cruising are like, how do I pick one? And I think it just depends. Like for you, the dates were set. So whatever
Yes.
ship is available, that's what we're doing. And other people, it might be more specific to the ship or the whatever.
Yeah.
But you're going on the Wish
Yep.
and boarding group 3, so you'll be on pretty early.
Yeah.
What are you thinking you're gonna do when you get on board?
What we've done in the past that we like is we usually go to Marceline Market to eat. I know you can sit downs, but we have different preferences for food, so we find the buffet options work really well for us. Let's see here. Oh, we usually go to check out the kids club. My daughter is too nervous to be left alone in the kids club. We have tried this numerous times. She likes going down the slide and washing her hands in the little machines, but other than that, she doesn't like to be alone. So that's the opportunity for us to spend time in there with her so she can still experience it, but not alone. So we usually do that pretty much right away. There's also a few things I was trying to get secured because, again, we didn't go at the 90-day mark for the silver option. So if I can't get them settled before we get on the cruise, I'm going to try and take care of those once we get on. So one of those is right now we're on the late dining at 8:15. She struggles to stay awake for shows when they're post the early dinner. So I think this is going to be a disaster. So I will try and see if we can move us up to the early dining if possible. The other thing is Bibbidi Bobbidi was booked, and something popped up the other day, but not till 8 o'clock at night. So again, not an ideal time. So I'm gonna see if we can get a reservation once we get on board. And
Okay.
usually after that, I mean, historically, our room's been ready. So we usually hang out in the room until our luggage is ready, and then we get set up for the muster drill, the sail away party. I can keep going on. If you want me to pause, I'll take a pause.
No, it's pretty indicative of you having been on cruises. You're like, this is our routine. This is how we know it works for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Sail away party. And then eventually your whatever dinner rotation you're assigned to.
Yeah, and we have a whole process with the sail away party because we really like to be in the front. And on the Wish, they don't block off an area for children like they do on some of the other cruises. So they'll let us right up to the rope. So usually during the muster drill, we try and ask to be sat near the door. And as soon as it's done, my husband goes and juts up the stairs to grab a spot because the elevators become so crowded. And then we meet him up there. So that's the plan for that.
I truly hate stairs. I have asthma and they're really hard, but this is the one time that I will do it. Muster drill, sail away party.
Cannot miss the sail away party, no.
Can't miss. It's a little bit of trauma for me because I missed it my very first Disney cruise because I didn't know it existed.
Oh, I tear up when the horn goes off.
Yes.
I'm just such a child with it. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's the perfect way to kick off the cruise. After the serious part is done with the muster drill, that's the fun thing.
Yeah. I know. That's when it really starts. Yeah.
Okay. And then obviously dinner that night.
And we will not miss the Seize the Day show. We love it. That's our favorite one. So we'll definitely do that after dinner. We'll make her stay up for that. She can't get out of it.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Okay. So Saturday, April 12th.
So this is the day the ship ports at Nassau, and we do not usually get off at this port, especially because the cruise is so short as well. We want to be able to enjoy the ship. So the plan is not to get off. We do have a few things scheduled, but we're very flexible too. And that's like the joy I get out of Disney. When you talked about the Enneagrams, like I feel like I fit into so many pieces of this, but we love doing stuff we've done before, but also adding in something new. So the plan is swimming, of course. We did get the Royal Gathering. That's around 11:15. Right now.
And can I just say you got the Royal Gathering? Oh, that's not 90 days out. That's 30 days out.
Yeah, you check in at 30 days. So minutes before that opened up to reserve, the Olaf Royal Picnic became available. So I did book that for myself and my daughter, but I don't think we're going to keep it. I'm 99% sure we're canceling. I watched some YouTube videos about how it goes, and she's not into Frozen like she was when she was little. And we've done the Royal Tea on the Fantasy, which she loved, but this doesn't seem to have quite the pomp and circumstance of that. So I don't think we'll keep it. We definitely want to do the Incredicourse, which is the big blow up obstacle course they did. We've done it once before. It's usually on Nassau Day, but they won't release the schedule until we're on ships. We kind of have to wait and see. My daughter also was obsessed on the Fantasy with the Midship Detective. Obsessed. Like hours going all over the ship. And I know the Wish doesn't have it. They have something else you use your phone for. And I've read mixed reviews on it, but we're going to give it a try. So hopefully she gets a kick out of that. That's also Pirate Night. Again, the short cruise is like hard. The last one we went on was like a 7-night on the Fantasy. So this is like condensing everything real tight. So Pirate Night will be that night. Usually she can stay up for the kids portion of it, but we're going to try and keep her up for the adult portion because they have the live band on the Wish, and she's never experienced that, so we think she'll like it.
And do you guys dress up for Pirate Night?
We get her dressed up. I sort of put a few little things on, but I don't go overboard. Something else, so we might try is bingo. So on the Fantasy, I tried it. We get in, I won the first game. I was shocked, $524. I was like, yes. So I'll probably never win again, but they've secured me for future cruises. So we'll probably give that a try.
On one of our group cruises, we had a friend win something like $6,000.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
In cash.
Cash.
They give it to you in cash. That's a lot to walk around with.
It's like a following. People have t-shirts for it. Like they are very into it.
They really are. And I feel like there's a whole culture that when you're new to it, it's wait, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, they kept saying "Shake It Up, Betty."
Yes.
Which is like the machine. I was like, what's happening? But yeah, they're really into it.
I know. I felt like I was missing a script or something.
Yeah.
But if you win, I can imagine that would make it worth coming back and hopefully.
It was like I couldn't believe it. The very first game too. It was wild. It was fun though.
Okay. That is Saturday. What about Sunday?
Sunday is Castaway. We love Castaway. I actually was sad this ship didn't go to Lighthouse because I actually love Lighthouse more. We did it once in November. It was great. It was great. But anyway, yes, we're doing Castaway. So this was exciting. I went on originally and just booked for a paddle boat rental in the afternoon around 2:10 because I was like, again, let's try something new. We've done the snorkeling before and we weren't really gonna, get into it this time. My daughter gets a little nervous with it. But on March 12th, so this is just about a month before departure, somebody went on our Facebook page and put that family and adult cabanas were showing up on the app. So I immediately ran and I was like, I hope she got one for herself because I'm about to go snag it. So I went on and there it was. There was still a family one left. So I grabbed it knowing we could cancel, but we're not going to cancel. We're going to keep that.
That is exciting. And so you
Yeah.
have the cabana and the paddleboat reservation still?
Yep, we're going to keep it just because it's something new to try. I was surprised. I'm wondering if it was just a really not full cruise, especially because of the guarantee veranda we got and the fact that these opened up because the adult cabanas, there were like several that sat there for 24 hours before getting snagged. It was wild.
That is wild. Can we talk about the guarantee cabin as well?
Yeah.
Because we are like less than or about a week out from your cruise. Do you have
Mhm.
your room assignment now?
We do, and it's great. We're really excited.
Okay. So
Can
can you explain a little bit about how the guaranteed rooms work? Because it is a way to save money.
Yeah, and we had never done it before, so that was the attraction to it as well. It was less expensive to book a guarantee veranda than it was to get an ocean view or an inside room.
Okay.
So that was incentive. We love the veranda. So we booked a guaranteed veranda stateroom with restrictions, which I think was one of the most broad options you could get for a veranda. And I have prices on this too. I can give you later if you want. So you can't change who's in the room after this is made, and you cannot cancel this reservation. So I was okay doing it just because of how soon the trip was going to be. I didn't anticipate anything interrupting it. So we booked it. We got the room assigned last week. So under 2 weeks going. And they don't give you an email or anything. You just have to log in and suddenly the room number appears. So we ended up getting, I'm so excited. This is what I would have booked if I had the choice. So we got the deluxe family ocean view stateroom with veranda. We're
Nice.
starboard side of the ship, midship.
Perfect. Oh my gosh.
Literally great. I don't see that there's any obstruction on the balcony or anything. So it was awesome.
That's what I would have booked too.
I know.
Those
We
are
usually do
amazing.
that gate, but like same side, midship, because we like seeing Castaway when it docks, and that's the side, to be on. So we were excited. I calculated it out. We saved anywhere from $800 to $1,200 booking that room type based on where we were placed.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. People are always asking how to save money on Disney cruises because they're not cheap. And there aren't a ton of ways to save, but the guaranteed rooms are one way to do that. Okay.
Well, that's also one way I justified keeping the cabana because
Uh-huh.
it's like $880. And I was like, well, I guess that sort of offsets what we saved booking the guaranteed room. So
Yeah, that's Mickey math right there.
that is, that's exactly what I did.
Okay. So April 13th, Sunday, Castaway Cay, you got a cabana, you have a paddleboat reservation.
Yep.
Anything else?
No, we usually stay there until they kick us off. A lot of people get back on the ship. Honestly, like around 3 o'clock is the most beautiful time. The sun's setting, no one's there. It feels like you just have this private, even on the family beach side, because we've done that before. It just feels amazing. We'll probably do bike riding. So bike riding, snorkeling, and the floats are all included with the cabana rental. And we have shared a cabana with someone once before back in November. So we do kind of know what to expect as far as the golf carts and then bringing us over to the snorkeling area if we want, bringing us back and sort of that extra VIP service you get with it. So it's nice.
Very fun. Okay. And then Monday, April 14th.
So this is the embarkation. We are going to take Disney Transport back to Animal Kingdom Lodge. My husband is leaving this evening. He's not staying the full duration of the trip. So he'll stay with us for most of the time. His flight's not till 7:20 at night, and he'll take a lift at that point, like a couple hours before. So I'm kind of excited of how this worked out, and I can give you the details, but will you tell me when to go? I can give you the details on how we booked the room and what we decided to do with it.
Yeah. So you're doing the Disney Transport to Animal Kingdom Lodge. And the room that you're talking about booking is your room in Animal Kingdom Lodge, right?
Yes. Yeah. So again, because we booked so late and it's spring break, the prices were wild, more than I wanted to spend to kind of tack on the end of the trip. So, and I'm like, I like the deluxe. I just do. We've stayed in all of them, but I prefer the deluxe. My favorite's Polynesian, always. The price tag was looking crazy on that. So Animal Kingdom's also a favorite. So I went through DVC rental. I did David's for this one. And they have the deluxe value room, which are kind of the smaller ones in Jumbo House. And I sort of just put in an inquiry to see if it was available for the one night because we were going to leave Tuesday originally. And they had it. So I booked it. So that price ended up being equal to us booking a moderate with tax and everything being done. So that was a no-brainer for us. So we did that. And then I decided to tack an additional day on, went back onto the site to see if it was available. Somehow it was, and booked it again. So technically we're staying 2 nights in the same room type, but they are separate reservations. So we actually could go to Blizzard Beach both of the days of our trip because of that.
Oh, clever.
That wasn't intentional, but that's how it worked out. And that's how it's showing in the app. So we could.
Okay, so then are you going to Blizzard Beach on April 14th?
Here's where you're going to get annoyed with my pre-trip because I don't think we're gonna, and the plan was to. So I literally have a variety of options of what could happen. So the post-trip will be interesting for you to see what we actually ended up doing. But we were going to go the first day, but we decided against it because historically, by the time we get back to the resorts, it's around 11 a.m. and we eat, and the room may or may not be available. And then my husband's going to have to leave around 5:30ish. So he can't bring his luggage with us to Blizzard Beach. So I don't think we're going to make the trek that day to Blizzard Beach. So I think we're just going to stay and swim and enjoy the resort. Also, when we went back in February, we went for breakfast and just came upon this scavenger hunt they were doing by one of the Outlook areas. And they have a whole schedule of these activities they do throughout the day. And you can get these little charms. She got binoculars last time and she loves that stuff. So we'll probably do a combination of pool and some of these little activities around the resort until he heads out. And then I've got a whole separate plan for me and her once he leaves us.
Okay. So you're going to be having lunch at the resort, swimming, activities at Animal Kingdom Lodge, and then your husband leaves in the evening. Do you have plans in the evening after he leaves?
Yeah. So I'm going to take my daughter over to the Magic Kingdom area. Right now I have 2 different dining reservations and we'll decide. I either have California Grill or I have 1900 Park Fare. And to be honest,
very different.
They're very different. I'm a little charactered out after the last trip. We went to just a ton, but I loved the food at 1900 Park Fare. I loved it. And I also wanted to see the Easter eggs. So part of me felt like we should end up at Grand Floridian to do that. But California Grill's amazing, and we didn't do that last trip, so I'm not sure. So,
And you have been there before, and your daughter likes going there as well?
yeah, she likes both. So we'll either take probably a lift. You know, I'm a little nervous to take a lift with just her. It's just like my comfort level because it's just the 2 of us. I love minivans, so I'll grab those whenever I can. But we'll either go to California Grill and take the monorail around to Polynesian and then spend the evening at Polynesian because she'll play in the sand for hours if I let her. Plus, sometimes they have the nighttime games going and stuff beforehand. I don't know if she'll ask for fireworks, but that would be where we'd end up at the end of the night. If we go to Grand Floridian, same, we'll take a lift or minivan there and then probably take the boat over to Polynesian after, and then again end the evening at Polynesian.
Okay. That sounds lovely. And then Tuesday, April 15th.
Tuesday, I was going to bring her to the water park, but I have a friend there now with children similar age, and she said the splash pad area was sort of a little too young for her daughter, but then her daughter was a little too young for the big water slides. So I honestly don't know if it's kind of worth the trek over there. So I don't think that's going to happen. We could also stay at the resort, but right now it's looking like I might do Animal Kingdom Lodge with Premier Pass or Animal Kingdom Park with Premier Pass and just go all for it. I kind of can't resist not going to a park when I'm there. I was going to try not to, but I'm pretty sure this is what's going to happen that day.
I don't think we've had a Premier Pass at Animal Kingdom before. So what would make you decide that versus lightning lanes.
I know, and we can do the lightning lanes, and there's some rides she won't go on there, but like Dinosaur, we tried once, she was terrified. As you've said a million times before, it is. She was scared. I had to cover her eyes the whole ride. I'm doing it for convenience.
Mm-hmm.
She's been there a lot. So to be able to walk in and kind of let her have reign to say, I want to go on this ride now. And we're like, okay. And it's not a matter of me shuttling her to different parts of the park to meet different time schedules or, again, being distracted on my phone when it's just me and her. I don't want her to think I'm constantly tied to it. So that's where the appeal of that came from. Is the value of it worth it? Probably not. But that was the appeal.
You can do whatever you want.
I can do whatever I want. Right?
You can do whatever you want. I like hearing the different stories about why people choose it, for specific instances.
I love Animal Kingdom. It is like one of my favorite parks. I love Epcot at night. And strangely enough, not even back in the countries. I like it in the front. I love that whole new area where the ground lights up and that music. I could just, it like makes me tear up. It's like the most beautiful music they play up in the park at evening. So she also loves Figment, which I listened to your podcast and actually read something. I tried to watch the original ride and it's so different.
You're talking about a patron podcast where you talked about Figment.
Yes, sorry. Yes, but we went on that 3 times in a row last time we were there. So she loves it. So we love hanging out in the front, the Moana area, all that stuff. So I was debating Epcot. And then, because I'm nuts, I was like, oh, maybe I'll do Animal Kingdom in the morning and do a park hopper and go to Epcot in the evening. Because I really wanted to end up at Boardwalk because I love the cake bake shop and I wanted her to watch the shows on the Boardwalk. So
Do you have park hopper tickets?
No, I didn't even purchase the tickets yet.
Oh,
No, they're not purchased. So if we do the premiere, we can book it Tuesday.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not too late. They're still there.
No, you're not too late. You can totally do that.
This is my last minute. I know. So yeah, originally it was Resort Boardwalk was the idea. And I have dining reservations at Yacht Club at Ale and Compass because I love their dinner there. So again, I told you, Shannon, I could give you a variety of options. I was like, oh, maybe we'll take the Animal Kingdom Lodge bus over to Hollywood Studios and then take a Skyliner over to the Epcot International Gateway and walk over and get dinner at Yacht Club. And then we'll walk over the bridge and go to the Boardwalk and enjoy it over there. So there's a lot of things.
There's a lot of things you could do. Yes.
A lot of things.
Your plans are indicative of somebody who's done it a million times. And you're like, I don't know.
This is the fun. This is the fun for me. It's that enclosed universe, but a large one that gives you endless options. I really do still want to end up at Boardwalk at night because a friend of mine from law school just moved there and she has the season pass, annual pass. And so she wanted to kind of meet us. And I thought that would be a good meeting place for her. So whether she meets us at one of the parks or at Boardwalk, we do plan on seeing her that evening as well.
All right. Well, that sounds fun. However it ends up.
I know. You'll find out somehow.
And then Wednesday, April 16th, I'm assuming is your departure day, but do you have other plans?
No, the flight's at 8:30 in the morning. So I'll just have us packed up the night before and wake up and head back. I didn't book this yet. I'll either do Mears or a Lyft, but I'm a little nervous to rely on Lyft because when we were at Port Orleans French Quarter back in February, there was some sort of Lyft glitch and it would drop you off at Port Orleans, but it would not pick you up. And we had a lot of problems with that. So that would be my concern is that something happens that morning. We can't get ourselves transportation back to the airport. So we'll probably do Mears.
Yeah, I think the downside with Mears is that they pick you up so early.
I know. But if you get there early enough, they'll also take your luggage for Southwest and pre-check it for you. So I don't have to drag it around the airport. So pros and cons.
You can also give them a different flight time.
Oh, all right.
You
just go in and find a different flight and the flight number and everything?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, good.
I mean, if you're like, I don't need to be picked up 3.5 hours beforehand, whatever. I mean, especially if you have TSA pre-check.
We do.
Okay, see?
You do? Okay.
It's up to you.
All these great things.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, this sounds fun. It has lots of different elements to it. I know a lot of people are interested in exploring cruising, and this is one way to add it on to something you already know. Disney World, and then add a little cruise time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope you have a fantastic trip, and I'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. Talk to you soon.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Did you know age is one of the most common causes of dry eyes because we can produce fewer tears as we get older? Give your dry, burning, or irritated eyes a daily refresh with Refresh Optive Mega 3 Lubricant Eye Drops, a preservative-free formula that provides fast-acting, lasting relief. These artificial tears deliver enhanced hydration that nourishes the eye's surface to help protect your natural tears from evaporating. Specially crafted with inactive ingredients like natural plant-based oil and antioxidants, and enhanced with moisture-locking technology, this triple action formula works to soothe symptoms and prevent further irritation. Refresh Optive Mega 3 is safe to use as often as needed. Find your Refresh online or in the eye drop aisle at your favorite drugstore, grocery, Walmart, or Target.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and Talkspace, the leading virtual therapy provider, is telling everyone, let's face it in therapy. By talking or texting with a supportive, licensed therapist at Talkspace, you can face whatever is holding you back, whether it's mental health symptoms, relationship drama, past trauma, bad habits, or another challenge that you need support to work through. It's easy to sign up. Just go to Talkspace.com and you'll be paired with a provider, typically within 48 hours. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule. Plus, Talkspace is in-network with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. Make your mental health a priority and start today. If you're not covered by insurance, get $80 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com and enter promo code SPACE80. That's SPACE80. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com and enter promo code SPACE80.
Welcome back from your trip, Taraneh.
Thank you so much.
We're talking on Saturday, April 26th, and that
Mhm.
means that you've been back for actually a little while, 10 days or so. How did the
Yeah.
trip go?
It went good. You're traveling with a child, so it's never perfect. I made some rookie mistakes, but was flexible and worked it out. And the way I described the itinerary to you did somewhat change
Okay,
slightly.
let's start seeing how it played out. This is why we do the pre-trip and the post-trip. I love the comparison. So you told us beforehand that on Thursday, April 10th, you were flying in at night to
Yes.
MCO and staying at the Hyatt.
And that all went really smoothly. No delays with the flight. It was weird to get into MCO late because we're usually like first thing in the morning when we arrive. So it was actually quite quiet. And I also had no idea how to get to the Hyatt other than it was somewhere near security. So when we got off, my husband went and picked up our luggage from baggage claim. And then I stopped at like an information desk and asked, and it's, through this little archway up the elevator. So that all went really smoothly. Our room was fine, like nothing to write home about. It was totally fine. They had given us information about what to do the next day with luggage, which we didn't follow. But
Was they meaning DCL?
no, the Hyatt.
The
So
Hyatt. Okay.
my sister went on to make the reservation with me. She had points. So we like negotiated something out for the night. And I don't remember us saying we were checking in for a cruise, like for the purpose of leaving on a cruise the next morning. They must communicate with the bus transportation situation. So they were aware that we were going to be getting on the bus the next morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So that was, sorry, go ahead.
It was a place to sleep.
Exactly. And we would do it again because there were some pros to it, especially with the late night flight. So yeah, it was like I said before, the best situation for what we were dealing with time-wise. But that night was pretty simple. We got in probably around 8:30. So after we checked into the room, we decided to go eat at it's McCoy's Bar and Grill, which is right near the lobby. I thought somehow it might be quicker than getting room service, and we wanted my daughter to focus on eating and then getting to sleep. So we did that. We got back to the room, got her ready for bed, and I set up all the things to get us out the next morning. So the first night was pretty uneventful.
All right. The next day was Friday, April 11th, your birthday. Disney
Yes.
transportation to the port, and you were boarding group 3.
Yeah. So I've only done Disney bus transportation from a Disney resort. So the Hyatt was definitely a little different, and there were so many people that did the same thing that we did. So I was very surprised when we showed up to the lobby to see what would happen. So they told us to leave our luggage in our room and they would pick it up and transport it onto the bus. I get paranoid with stuff like that. I get nervous that what if they forget it and we don't realize till we're on ship? So we decided to keep our bags with us. Because we're Silver Castaway, they had also given us a certain time that we were supposed to go to the lobby to check in and get in line. But we were early, which is not typical for me, but we were a good half hour early. And I'm like, you know what? Let's just go down and see if they can move things along. And they did. They didn't even flinch. They're like, oh, you can get in line. We've already opened the line. I'm like, oh, well, we're not till the 9:30 group. They're like, it's okay. So they had a system all set to check our luggage in. They had all the Disney Cruise Line, banners and whatnot. And we got in a pretty substantial line in this lobby area next to the restaurant. So it wasn't until we were about halfway through the line that I realized they were doing full check-in at the Hyatt. So they were looking at all our documentation. They ended up giving us a bracelet, which was going to expedite us getting on the ship once we got to port. When you do Disney Cruise Line transport through the hotels, that was not our experience. They checked that we had our bags and we got on, but once we got to the port, we still had to go through the check-in process at the terminal. So this felt longer, but it was sort of a wash as far as that goes.
Yeah, it's like you're just doing it beforehand.
Yeah, it was really nice. I almost wish we had gone sooner, considering they weren't being such sticklers about the line, because then we actually could have gotten a bus to the port quicker. So they had them by groups. We were like the third group by character Daisy. So we had to wait until they were lining people up for the Daisy group to get on the bus. But once we were ready, it was really quick. They walked us down, we got on the bus, and it was about a 45-minute drive to the airport or to the terminal.
And then once you arrived, were you able to board immediately, or at least
Yeah.
get in to sit down immediately?
Yeah, they got us off the bus and they brought us in to where normally we would doing all the registration check-in, but we kind of bypassed that into a quick line and put our stuff through security and then went up. I will say this, I found this out before we boarded. For some reason, the Wish is not leaving out of the Disney Cruise terminal right now. Somebody said they think it's the one that's shared with MCL or MSC Cruise Line. So you could see they put banners to sort of be like, hey, this is Disney, but I was sad we didn't get to walk through the big Mickey head arch to get on the ship or anything like that. So once we went through the security, we went up to the main floor where people were waiting, but we had the bracelets because of the pre-check-in. So we walked right onto the ship at that point. I'd say we got on the ship around noon, which was comparable to when we've taken it from the resorts.
Okay. And then did you do as planned and head to Marceline Market?
We did all sorts of things.
Okay,
So
what did you do?
there were a couple mistakes made. So I didn't pay attention to when you needed to cancel certain excursions for the cruise. And we had decided we weren't going to keep Olaf's Royal Picnic. And I realized when I was online one night trying to cancel it, and they're like, you can't cancel anymore. It basically closes out your ability to modify. So I wanted to go to Bibbidi right away to get a reservation. And I also wanted to go to guest services to kind of handle a few of those things. So the very first thing we did was went up to Bibbidi, but it was closed. There was no sign of it being open. So then same floor as where customer services. We walked right over there, almost no line. And I wanted to cancel the Olaf's Royal table without a penalty because technically we would have been tied into it. They did allow that and accommodated that. So that went well. They checked and Bibbidi didn't open till 12:30. So we still had another 15 minutes before we could do the check, try and get a reservation with them. We had a cabana, which we were keeping, but I kind of wanted to change the number of the cabana because I'm very into aesthetics and pictures and all the things. And I had looked online and saw that the lower numbered ones tend to have a lot more greenery or like little paths down to the water. So I checked, but nothing was available. So we just stayed with ours. And then the last little thing is in the past when we've got on the Wish, they would hand out little magic wishing wands because they do a wishing ceremony. And I noticed they weren't handing them out. And one of the cast members said, you can still get them, but you have to ask a customer service. So I did that too. And I grabbed that for my daughter. And then we just scooted right over and got in line and waited for Bibbidi to open at 12:30.
Okay. I'm making a note that the wishing wands are available by request.
By request, yeah.
It's one of those things you got to know, I guess.
Yeah, if you were new and you didn't, because we had people approach us, they're like, "Where'd you get those?" You could
Mhm.
tell it must have been their first cruise and they didn't realize that they were available.
Okay. So that feels pretty successful.
It was.
Cool.
I was pleased.
All right. What was next then?
So waited outside Bibbidi. We were first in line. A few people congregated behind us. I don't know if they had reservations or if they were trying to do what I was doing, but we went right in. I asked for any availability and they started reading the things we had reserved for the following day. And I'm like, I mean, okay, thanks, but I'm just trying to get a reservation with you. So I think what they were trying to do was coordinate. So we ended up getting 9:45 a.m. the following morning for her. And she had a royal gathering where she could meet and greet the princesses at 11:15. So that seemed to be a really good time where we could have her do that and be dressed up for the princesses. So that's what
Mhm.
we grabbed there. And then Bibbidi was open to walk around. So they let us just go right in and look around at the dresses and stuff ahead of time and a view of the room so I could take video clips and pictures and stuff and get a vibe for it. And we've done this before because my daughter tends to be very anxious in certain circumstances. So when she gets to see the space, she's more comfortable when she goes back later. So it was nice to be able to see it before it was busy with a lot of people.
Yes, that is helpful.
It was nice. My daughter just watched the wishing ceremony from the balcony while we were waiting. I can't remember. I don't think it's the fairy godmother. It might have been in the past. Someone comes out and does this, little show presentation. And if you have the wand, you can do that. That's a sweet little thing. So she just watched that from above. And then I still had to delay my daughter eating because we had put in a reservation. We had put in a request for private dining for our own table at dining. And I didn't know if it was accommodated, and I wanted to double check while we could, because they stop a certain point when you can check in when you get on board to let me backtrack. When you get on board, there's a room designated to go to try and handle any dining reservation issues you have. And I knew that it stops at a certain point, so I wanted to get down there. I had also put in a request for a few different servers based on recommendations, but they don't tell you if that's accommodated. So that was in Triton's Lounge. We went in. I mean, the man was very nice, but he was so soft-spoken, my husband couldn't even hear him. He's like, "How did you" he seemed very used to this and not super energetic of a human, but it's
Mm.
fine. He said that we did not get the request for our own table, but we did get our request for the server we wanted. But, I mean, we like people, but we kind of like our own space, and I know it's so funny because sometimes your table is just, like, this tiny little bit from the table
Mhm.
next to you. That was our preference, so he did put in our request for that, and he said if it was honored, we would notice in the app that our table number was changed, but to disregard a text that would come through saying it couldn't be accommodated, and that is what happened. We got a text saying, "We can't accommodate your request," but then the table number in the app changed, and we did end up getting our own private table and the server we requested, so it worked out really nice
Okay,
with all
good.
those efforts. So that was all taken care of, and then we went to Marceline Market for lunch.
Okay, finally get to eat.
Finally get to eat.
And Marceline Market is the like quick service buffet kind of place.
Exactly.
And how was that?
It was good. I mean, I've told you we've been on the ship before.
Uh-huh.
But there were things I didn't like now that I've been on the Fantasy more recently, like much more of them serving you the food as opposed to you kind of self-serving. And like I love crab legs and they only had crab claws. And I'm not the most efficient eater with that stuff. So I was like, oh, never mind. And I just remember liking the food a little better on the Fantasy when we went, but maybe it was circumstantial. I don't know. It was
Where
fine though.
yeah. And then between that, was there anything between that and your room being available?
Yeah. So we, let's see. We went to the Oceaneers Club open house. It's fun. My daughter got to go down this slide, and then
Mhm.
she loves the hand washing machines that wash your hands for you. We
Uh-huh.
walked down the stairs and met her, and you get to see the room. It's beautiful, but they don't have anything out. It's really just to look at the space. So
Mhm.
there's no crafts for the kids to play with yet. Anything you can use your magic band is not working yet for say, these interactive roller coasters, things like that. So it's really just to look around. But they did do a Disney junior dance party which is hit or miss for her, but she wanted to watch, and I'm so glad she did because actually Captain Mickey and Minnie came out and were dancing with the kids at the end of it. So it was, like, really fun to do right away when you get on the ship. So that
That's
was really
cute.
cute.
I love that.
That was very cute.
What else?
What else? What else? We went to our room after that. The room was ready before, but it was around 2:40 when we got to the room. Our luggage was not there yet, but we met our stateroom host. He was very nice. One of the luggage came shortly after, and then it wasn't much longer until we got the rest. There was like a little envelope on the door, so we picked it up, and it was really sweet and unexpected, but it was a magical moments card with a birthday pin for me, and there was a $50 spa gift certificate toward any 50-minute spa face or body service on port days only. And I hadn't planned on doing any services, so I just gave him a call. I would have done more of a mani-pedi combo, and they said that would have been fine, but as you'll hear as we go on, I felt this was just too short of a cruise for me to be expending time on things like that. So I didn't actually use it, but it was really nice for them to have given. That was a nice surprise.
And that was because you noted your birthday on your reservation, right?
Yeah, and it disappeared a few times, but when you're on the Disney Cruise Line app, you can put in a couple few requests, and one of them is you can indicate it's your birthday or that it's someone's birthday.
Okay.
So they must have just seen it that way. So that was nice. We had a little basket for fish extenders for anyone who has or hasn't done it. You can sign up ahead of time, and we didn't, but we still brought things to participate. And I bought a few things for my daughter in case no one left her anything. We were kind of late on that wagon, but we hung up a little basket before we left the room. And I think she decorated the door at that point. We put some magnets up on the door.
So
And that's
you
before.
didn't sign up for a fish extender, but you brought the stuff as though you did to kind of just DIY one or randomly participate. Is that how you did it?
Yeah. And she got lots of stuff. And we went around and put stuff in other people's rooms. So we weren't part of a special group. But yeah, it seemed like we weren't the only ones that were prepared for that.
Yeah.
That
Good
was
option if
nice.
you haven't signed up.
Yeah, it's not the end all. Next time I think I will, just to
Mhm.
guarantee. But she still got really cute little things along the way. So
Huh?
it's worth it if you like it. Then we had the muster drill. We were down in the 1923 restaurant. It was very quick. I told you my goal after that was to get up for the sail away party.
Mhm.
So that was nice, but we were on the 3rd floor, and the 11th floor is a sail away party. So even though my husband went ahead of us, we weren't that far behind him. It was just so congested. There were just so many people trying to get up there, but maybe they weren't going there. Maybe they were just going to their rooms, because when we actually got up to the top deck, he was up in the front. So we weren't barred from getting close to the stage. And that was a good half hour before the sail away party started at 4:15. So we just hung out there.
Yeah.
Waited.
I think that the ship is so big. There's only 2 banks of elevators.
Mhm.
People just are like, I guess I'm taking the stairs because there's way too many people needing to use the elevators right now.
Yeah. And that's when you're seeing a lot of the wheelchairs are coming out too. So there's just a lot of different mobility needs, and it gets very congested.
Yes. But you made it.
We made it. And it's great. I love a sail away party. I'm like I start tearing up. I'm like, this is so
Mhm.
fantastic. It's one of my favorite things they do on the ship, honestly. And I like the Wish to Sail Away party better than the Fantasy Sail Away party. I don't know if it's because they have dual levels going on. They have
Mhm.
princesses come out. It's just really great. And I think I mentioned this on the Wish, they don't, it's like a curved step up to the stage. So they put up a rope, but they don't block off an area for like just children in front of you.
Mhm.
You really, if you're up there, you get a unobstructed up close view of it, which is really nice. It was hot. The sun was beating down. My daughter had an ice cream while we waited. So we did wait like a good half hour for that to start, but it was great.
It
Took all these
reminds
videos
me
of it.
of the parks used to have opening park ceremonies, especially Magic Kingdom. But
Oh, I didn't know
um,
that.
yeah, and it kind of gave that same vibe as the sail away party, just like a fun kickoff.
Like, here you go. Here's the fun starting. It's so great. And we've been really lucky on all our cruises where the weather's nice, because I do think if it rains, they bring it in, and I can't imagine it having the same energy.
They do. They put it in the atrium, which is a whole lot of people in a small
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you had good weather though, so that's great.
We did. It was actually the whole week. It was like mid-80s, no humidity. Even in Orlando, I couldn't have asked for better weather. It was really nice.
That is magical. I'm
Mhm.
glad Disney could do the weather like that for you.
They did. For my birthday, it was so nice. So nice of them.
And then after the sail away party, what did you do?
Yeah, we just got like a fun drink poolside, and then we went back to the room before dinner. We did bring the cruising ducks And I've heard a lot online about Disney doesn't allow it, etc. But we always find that people are like, we found 6 or 7. So people do it. People are
It's
definitely still doing it.
Disney keeps saying it's banned, but you can't really stop people.
I know. Well,
mean-
this is what we found too. We brought these like little pink ones, you know. My daughter hid like half of them at that point, but we found some that are teeny tight, like these micro ducks. And that would be hard for staff to just see randomly in passing. So maybe that's more of the popular ducks that are getting hidden. They were cute. They were super microscopic. We found a good amount of them.
I understand why Disney wants to stop it, I guess, because then they just end up with ducks everywhere. But also, it's some things you just can't police like that.
But people find them.
And
Any
they-
of the ones
they
we hid, they
do.
were gone. So I can't imagine there's a lot like left around unaccounted for. People are excited to look for them. So we do still do it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to keep being a thing, I think. They're so cute.
Yeah, especially like my daughter's 7. She's so excited when she found the first few. It just made her day. And it's so simple and such a cheap little cute thing to do. So we did do that. She found 3, I think, right away. And we had this little tally on our door where she could write in with dry erase marker how many ducks she found. So she like updated that as we went through.
That's cute.
And then we got ready for dinner, and our first rotational was Erindale. So that's where we went the first night for dinner. They sang me happy birthday. So that was nice.
And where were you
And
seated relative to the stage?
there's like a big rectangle. The stage is in the middle, and then there's a big rectangle of tables around it. And then there's a walkway with another big rectangle. We're in the middle rectangle, but in a corner. Wasn't the best view, but enough that my daughter could see it. And then I've heard all the characters don't go to every table, but they did for us. I think that was the benefit of where we were seated, right on the corner. So we did get to meet Elsa, Anna, Kristoff, and then who's the guy that works the shop? I can't think of his name.
Yeah. I know what you're talking
Him.
about. Yes.
Him and Olaf was on this sort of pushy cart thing. So we got to see all of them.
And the food?
The food is good. There's a few things we've gotten before that we love, so we tend to reorder it. Another hint, which I don't think we utilized enough, is that the kids don't have to order off the kids menu on the cruises. If they like something on the adult menu, they can. So they have this sort of scallop appetizer with this big poofy, flaky bread thing on top. And after my daughter saw me eat it, she wanted one, and it was no problem at all for her to get one of her own. So it was good.
Good. And then
Yeah.
did you go right from there to the Seize the Day show, or was there something else?
No. So dinner, we were the 5:45. So it's usually like an hour 15-ish to finish. The show was until 8:30. We kind of walked in that direction and came upon Luna Lounge, which is one of the smaller theaters there. And they were doing a villains game show night. Didn't know what it was. It was so cute. We didn't watch the whole thing, but it seems to be pre-recorded. They had volunteers sort of playing tic-tac-toe. They'd pick a character and answer a question, and if they got it, they'd get the color for their group. But the host was interactive with these pre-recordings somehow. It was just very well done and very cute, and I would have stayed and watched the whole thing if we had known about it. So we watched that a bit before making our way over to the theater for the Seize the Day show.
I think that ability to just stumble into things is so common on these bigger ships.
Love it.
It's
Yeah.
so big. There's so many spaces. And on the smaller ships, I feel like you get to know all the areas and know what to expect. But you just stumbled into something awesome that you weren't,
I know.
you
I
didn't
know.
know about.
And my husband and I don't know much about the adult areas of the ship so much because we always go with my daughter. So we're limited in that. But once you're on the ship, you have access on the Navigator app to more than you can pre-ship. And there are so many activities. So you kind of have to go through and heart the ones you think you might possibly like. And then it puts it into an itinerary for you that you can reference. But it can be really overwhelming. There's a lot you can do. So yeah, it's fun to stumble across something you didn't plan on.
Sometimes, like, we do Q&As and stuff, and people will ask, I've never done a Disney cruise. Don't you get bored because you're just on the boat the whole time? And I'm always like, shocked. No,
Never.
you will never get bored.
Never. That was like I made a FYI list at the end, and I have an opinion on short cruises, and
Okay.
Personally, that's a struggle because there is so much to do.
Yeah.
So I agree. So while we were waiting for Seize the Day, my daughter got this fancy popcorn bucket thing. And then we got in. We were pretty low. We were pretty far to the ground. We were all tired. Like, I was struggling to keep my eyes open. But that's my favorite show. I don't know if for anyone who's seen it, the Tiana part in particular is like the dancing's fantastic. It's so Disney. So it's probably my second favorite to the Sail Away Party, just with the characters and everything. So we enjoyed that. But after that, we just went back to the room and got ourselves situated. Oh, no, I'm lying. We didn't. So she must have gotten another bout of energy. So we went and hid the rest of her ducks after the show. And then we went and got beignets at the bayou because we had to.
As one does.
As we did. I think she just had too many sweets, though, because she didn't feel good after we had it. So she actually didn't want it for the rest of the cruise. She's, I don't want the beignets. They hurt my tummy. I was like, okay.
It's like immersion therapy. Eat all the sugar and then you won't want sugar.
I know. Well, that was like a kind of shock to my system, too, because I've been on the cruises before, but there's just a lot more sodium in the food than they're used to. And I could feel that effect on my body. But, you're on vacation.
Yes.
You figure it out.
So then you made it back to the room and to bed, right?
We went to bed. What was really cute, I can't remember if it was the first night or the second night they did this, but my daughter was on the couch that pulls into a bed. We had requested bed rail so that she wouldn't roll off. And they put Minnie Mouse sheets on the bed. And I heard if you request, they can do it, but we didn't ask and they did it automatically. And she was so pumped about it. So that was really cute. So if they don't put it on and your kids like character bedding, ask the stateroom host. They do have it available for the kids.
That's cute.
It was very cute. But that was it. That was the first day on the ship.
Did you know age is one of the most common causes of dry eyes because we can produce fewer tears as we get older? Give your dry, burning, or irritated eyes a daily refresh with Refresh Optive Mega 3 Lubricant Eye Drops, a preservative-free formula that provides fast-acting, lasting relief. These artificial tears deliver enhanced hydration that nourishes the eye's surface to help protect your natural tears from evaporating. Specially crafted with inactive ingredients like natural plant-based oil and antioxidants, and enhanced with moisture-locking technology, this triple action formula works to soothe symptoms and prevent further irritation. Refresh Optive Mega 3 is safe to use as often as needed. Find your Refresh online or in the eye drop aisle at your favorite drugstore, grocery, Walmart, or Target.
Want to keep your personal number private but still stay connected? With Line 2, you can get a second phone line right on your device with a super simple app and no need for another phone. Whether it's for online shopping, dating, or shielding your main number from spam, Line 2 is an easy way to manage it all. Ready for peace of mind without breaking the bank? Call, text, block, and more for only $9.99. Get started with line2.com/audio or download Line 2 in any app store today. Line 2, your second line simplified.
And the next day was Saturday, April 12th, and this was your Nassau day, and you were planning to stay on the ship.
Exactly. So we did not get off. We did the light continental breakfast on the veranda. Well, my daughter and my husband did. So there's a tag in the drawer in your stateroom where you can check off items you might like for how many people and what time range you'd like them to deliver it. So we've done this before. Bringing it on the veranda and watching the water is like my daughter's favorite thing to do. So they did that while I got us ready for the day. And then I actually wanted real breakfast. So we went to Marceline Market after that and got something quick. We then went to the Hero Zone, which is the stairway is right outside Marceline Market. It's not well identified, but it's got sort of this blue light glowing on the stairway, and you went up and they had the Incredicourse blown up. I had looked on the Navigator ahead of time. So this is this massive obstacle course, blow up bounce house thing that you can go on. So I did it this time. I completely lost as expected. But when we were coming down the slide, I was trying to brace myself because I had shorts on, and I got this terrible burn from the material on my elbow. So that was it's still on my arm. It's my souvenir. But super fun. A lot of energy in there. It's fun watching other people too. I had my husband go to the second balcony and video us from the top so he could see us go through. But it's really cute. She only wanted to do that once though. And she was very into ping pong. So her and my husband went and played ping pong right after that. And just to give you this is my itinerary for this day. So I have stuff to
It's a full page for people that aren't
So
watching the video version.
just for this day. So then we went to Bibbidi Bobbidi for her appointment at 9:45. She chose Belle. She has been she's been at least 4 times to Bibbidi Bobbidi, but she's got this like anxiousness to her in certain situations. So we go in and she picks the dress out and I pay. And we get into the room and she's, I'm actually really tired. And I was like, I love you. And that's so sweet. But I just paid $220 at the front desk for this experience. So we're going to do what we can. So yeah, I did write down some pricing for you, which I can give later, but they have a base package. It's about 100 and you bring your own costume. And they still give you a t-shirt and some other souvenirs, and they still do the hair and makeup and all the things. The next option up was this one, which was $219.95. That went up because it used to be $199. I remember vividly, but that's where they can pick a dress, and then they still do the whole to-do with the makeover. There's 2 dresses they have that are sort of boutique-y. Not as many options as if you're in Disney World going to Bibbidi. I think they only had Ariel and one other one. That was a higher cost package. And then they have a Captain Minnie and Captain Mickey outfit you can get specifically on the cruises. And that one's more priced out too. So we did
That's
sort of a middle ground.
extremely cute, though. I love
It's so
that.
cute. It's so cute. I know she didn't have any interest in it. So we did Belle. So she's done this before. If you have a shy child, like you can sit right next to them. The staff was lovely. They're super patient with her. No one was pushy. If she didn't want to do anything, they were fine with it. So she never really wants them doing her nails. She doesn't like the smell of it. She picked her hairstyle out and did all of that. She wanted minimal makeup. So she didn't want a lot with that. And anything she didn't want to wear, they just put in the bag for her to take with her. So we went through the experience. She also doesn't like, they usually announce the children. Like, here's Princess, my daughter's name's Elise. So they would been, here, Princess Elise. And she's looked at me. She's like, I don't want them to announce me. I'm like, okay, it's totally fine. So I'm going to try and deter her from Bibbidi in the future. I'm not trying to give her anxiety. I don't know why she's so excited. And then when she's in there, she gets real shy. So,
Oh, so she's been several times and it was her request, but then when
Yeah.
she's there, she gets shy. That's interesting because I thought maybe you wanted her to do it just for a royal gathering and then,
No.
but really she's asking for it because she's done it multiple times.
Yeah, because I couldn't get it before we went on the ship. So I
Yeah.
already talked to her. I'm like, why don't we just not do it this time? You've already done it before. And then 2 days before, she said, did you get me Bibbidi? No. So then that became my mission when we got on the ship. But she's always had bouts of anxiety as a child. Like the very first time we brought her to Bibbidi was in Magic Kingdom. And we got in the room and they did the fairy godmother thing. And she wanted the dress off and we left. She didn't want to do any of it. She was 4. So this isn't unusual for her, but it just kind of makes me sad every time because she seems so excited to do it. And then afterwards, she's, eh. But we did it. We did it.
Yeah.
The plan then was to do the royal gathering at 11:15, and she didn't want to do it. And I didn't want to force her because I knew she was sort of in a certain type of mood with her feelings after Bibbidi. So we didn't go. I always feel bad because this has happened once before too. They're very hard to get spots for that. But we only took up 1 spot because I don't know if the parent wants to get in the photo, but you don't have to have a royal gathering reservation for every single person on the cruise to get in line. So in the past, we've just done one for her, and that was fine. We've gotten in line with her. She gets her picture, and it wasn't an issue. And hopefully that left availability to other people that wanted to get it. So that's just an informational thing we've picked up over time. But yeah, we bowed out of that and we decided feeding her would be good because she's known to get hangry, but not admit it. So we just went up to the poolside area and got food there. I know you were on the Wish and you did the whole review, but the food is great because they've got this additional barbecue section and a taco section a lot more than the other cruises did. So we just got food. She seemed a little bit better after that. And then we stopped at Joyful Sweets, which is sort of, they have cake and gelato and ice cream and got an ice cream in there after. That is a separate cost if you get anything in there. Just an FYI for anyone. We then went back to change. I noted that this is when we saw the Minnie Mouse sheet. So maybe they just did it this day. I don't know. That's kind of early. Maybe that's out of order. Anyway, she had another fish extender gift. She was so pumped in the thing. And then I laid down. I was exhausted. I don't know. You just have all this anticipation and then you get there and all this stuff happens. So Sorry
Your
to cut
daughter
you off.
said she was exhausted at the Bibbidi Bobbidi appointment. Was she
No,
actually
she
tired too?
wasn't. She wasn't. I know it was her way of trying to bow out of it. Like she said it in such a sweet way. I'm like, you're not tired. It's 9:40. You woke up an hour ago. Anyway, she went swimming. So again, she wasn't tired. My husband brought her swimming. They went on the Aqua Mouse and just took advantage of the pools while I
ruined
laid
the
down.
hairstyle. No.
She didn't. She had it up in a bun, and they put this sort of fishnet over the bun, and they gel that thing like that is some serious hair gel they use. So no, her hair didn't get ruined.
It even survives the water slide. Nice.
It survived. It totally survived the water slide. Which gets you soaked because I went on it later. But so they did that, and then this was pirate night. So here we are with more stuff to do. So I went to I wrote it down. I forgot it. It's like Fairy Tale Fresh Laundry, the laundry room. It is the most beautiful laundry room on a cruise ship I've ever seen. It's just so great. It's huge. There's ironing boards, all the things. So I went and got her pirate dress and my outfit for the night ready. I think she found some more ducks she was excited about. And then we got dressed early because I didn't learn my lesson. And I had another reservation at Bibbidi, but this time it was the Pirates League. So they do little makeovers for pirate night. So we had a similar experience to the morning where we get in there and then she wanted nothing to do with it. But this one's different and it's fun. So they took all the dresses down from the princess time of Bibbidi and all they had was pirate costumes up. And they had all these banners hanging out saying Pirates League. They had little skulls above the mirror. It was really cute. And they did some sort of, she like rolled dice and it gave her a pirate name. Like it was really cute. It was very interactive. There were like 3 packages for this. We did the base one. So it was $59.99. There's no costume with this one, but they do makeup. They don't do your hair either for pirate night. So they did makeup and she got a bunch of accessories. She only wanted eyeshadow. So basically we paid $60 for eyeshadow and some souvenirs, but you know, it's okay. They do let adults go if anyone's interested. And the costumes are either this vest with a waistband or the top tier is the costume itself, but there's no dresses. So if anyone's wondering, the little pirate costumes are not dresses. If a little girl or a little boy's looking for one, it's only like pants with these like fancy capes. But it was really cute. Like I'm glad we got to at least see what it was like. And she liked all the swag she got from it. So
good. I'm glad you liked that part. This seems like an intense day. She's I'm
then
anxious.
she was fine 5 minutes later. It's
Yeah.
like just in these we're gonna work through that together. My husband felt so bad because he's I feel bad coming to watch. She looks like she just becomes real quiet. And again, the staff were so lovely, so calm with her.
It's hard to know with kids like that. You want to push them a little to get out of their comfort zone, but not too much. It's like, where's that line?
No, and now that I'm remembering, when she was little and we tried it on the Wish, they have a separate room when you're walking in the Bibbidi entrance, it's to the left. And there's only 2 chairs in there. So when she was really struggling, when she wanted to do it, but was much younger, they let her go in that room with just us. And I think it's intended for that. Anybody that's having sensory overload or is like struggling with shyness or whatever. So that is an option you can ask for when you're checking in. But they were lovely. They were lovely regardless. So then this was really weird. At this point, we just had to waste time until dinner. So her Pirates League was at 4:00 was the appointment. We were in there maybe like a half hour. So we walk out and the same level of us, they had Mickey, like in his pirate costume with 3 people in line. I was like, we're getting in line, so we
Yeah.
did. And I just looked around and it seemed so empty. It was oddly quiet in the atrium, and I'm used to it being flooded with people trying to take all the pictures, and it wasn't. It was odd.
I wonder why. I wonder if
I
people were
don't
just doing
know.
something else. They were at Nassau. They were getting ready for dinner. What were they doing?
It had to have been, and again, maybe because the itinerary, like the cruise was so much shorter that people prioritized the excursions over the characters. I don't know, but it was oddly not busy. So we got to meet him like right away. And then we went out on the veranda and played shuffleboard. That was a little close to 5. So our dinner wasn't until 5:45. I've done this with her before after she's feeling a little overwhelmed as we go out there and play, and she's just transformed. It's her favorite thing. So we went out there and played for a bit. And then my husband must have stopped back in the room for some reason because it was just me and her just wandering the atrium. But again, no one was anywhere. So I'm like, hey, let's get a picture together. No one was in line for these backdrop photos. I'm used to it being so long. So we just popped around to a couple of them just because we could. And
That is really
took
surprising.
some pictures. It was really weird. I'm usually like, nope, not our priority. Let's move on. And this time I'm like, well, we're here.
One thing I wonder is that the Wish is very purposely trying to get first-time cruisers to introduce the DCL because it's short cruise, easy to pair with Disney World, whatever. And I wonder if that changes the general vibe or, activities of the ship because it's like first timers have different things on their list, maybe.
Maybe they also don't know how
Yeah.
many photo opportunities there were.
Yeah.
So they just didn't prioritize going to that part of the ship. I don't know.
I don't know. Just a theory. I wonder.
I don't know. Because even when we've been on the Wish before, it wasn't that empty.
Right.
So it was just,
you
it
do
was just
have
odd.
previous cruises to compare to.
I know. It was just noticeable. It was
Yeah.
noticeable. So then we went to dinner. This night we were at 1923. This is my favorite menu. And I can't even remember what we ordered, but I definitely got 2 different appetizers and 2 different desserts to try. It was just really good. I loved our table. We had no one behind us, however it was set up. And some of the chairs are frustrating because they have arms, but the space for them is too small. So you have to pull the chair completely out to kind of sneak your way in. We got ones that were armless, but not ideal, some of the seating in there. I don't know why they did that. But that went great. We then went out and my daughter, they have this stage when you walk in the atrium and it says Wish on it. And she just gets up there and dances. And it's nice because you feel like you have access to an area of the ship. You can just go right up there. So she was dancing around in her pirate costume up there on stage. So this was us wasting time until the 2 different pirate events that night. So Mickey and Minnie's Pirates in the Caribbean was at 7:45. This is more the child-friendly version. We got up there around 7:15. And there were more people than we had gotten up for the sail away party, but we were still right up in the front. So we got our spot there. And that's a great show. That is the same show as they have on the other ships. Whereas the sail away party was different than the other ships, this was the same. So we enjoyed that. And then we hung around after everyone left because I told you the Wish has a live band for the evening show. So we got to hear the band warm up. There was barely anyone up there. You could see some staff some staff members sitting around just enjoying it on the top deck. So that was really nice. We did that. And then we ended up wandering around the ship. I don't think it was for anything in particular. I think it was just to look for ducks and see what was going on because normally she can't stay up for the night party, but she really wanted to. So we were just trying to gauge if we thought she could do it. We did not do any other shows for the rest of this trip. I think this night was The Little Mermaid. Then the following night was Aladdin. We have seen them before. She falls asleep during them. She can't stay up. They're great. So I recommend them to anyone who loves the shows, but we did not opt for those.
So she had never seen the fireworks.
She did on the Fantasy in November, but she had never seen the show on the Wish. She's always been asleep.
Because it's too late.
It's too late for her. I don't think it starts until 10:15 or 10:30. It's pretty late. So I had not seen this one either because we're usually with her while she's sleeping. It was so funny. It was hilarious. It was like a Rock of Ages throwback, if anyone's seen that show. Like the 80s music. They had fake wigs on. It was hilarious. It was really well done. It was really fun. And then the fireworks are just fantastic. So the live band and the firework combo was a higher level than you're going to get like on the Fantasy, I thought. The Fantasy, I was expecting something more because I was used to the Wish having the band and it was different. It was still great, but this one was like kind of spectacular.
I feel like your analytical nature I can see you putting together a comparison chart of the ships and all the different shows and stuff.
I am, because I don't want to always take the same ship. So it's just interesting to see how they differ. And even though I wrote all this stuff out for you, I do this for myself anyway, every trip. Like I'll make digital photo albums and I love going in chronological order and putting the detail of where we ate and what we did. I just love it. It's like reliving the trip again after. So I get the planning part. The trip is great, but probably not actually my favorite part of the whole piece. And then afterwards reflecting and kind of getting to relive it again is fun for me. So I love all the details.
And so on this particular night, that was your daughter managed to stay up late.
She did. She lasted, but she fell asleep at the end. She had my husband holding her. She was exhausted. So then we just did bed after that.
Okay. That makes sense. But she did it. And then the next day was Sunday, April
did it.
13th, and it was Castaway Cay Day.
Oh my gosh. Let me start by saying I found out that they do Mickey Churro Waffle Day on the Wish. And I didn't know they did this because when we went before, I was told they didn't. But we went during the inaugural sailings. So I don't know if that changed. So anyway, that was my favorite part, is that it was Mickey Churro Waffle Day. So
And this was, so in my experience, it's always the last day before debarkation that they
yeah,
have
because we had it on the
churros.
Fantasy, but it was like a 6-night cruise. So yes, I did ask someone in Marceline Market. I'm like, do you do Mickey Churro Waffles? She's like, yep, we do it usually she said the last port day,
Okay.
which was this. But yep, they were there.
You had nothing but 4 days, right?
Yeah. Nassau, Castaway, off the ship.
Yeah. Okay.
It was super quick. So my husband brought my daughter to Marceline and they actually got breakfast, but then they brought me some churro waffles to the room
Nice.
before we got off to go to Castaway.
Because you had a cabana.
I know, it's so exciting. So we had Cabana 15. I think there's 20-ish, but some of the numbers don't exist. I don't know. I liked where we were. There were pros and cons. So let me backtrack though before we get to the cabana.
Okay.
So when you get off the ship, sometimes they have character meets. I didn't notice any. I didn't notice as many as in the past. Maybe because we got off earlier than we typically do. Because I wanted to take advantage of the fact that we had the cabana.
And these are in the app for anyone that wants to be strategic about it.
The characters,
Yes.
on the island.
I didn't, for a long time, I didn't realize that. And now I'm like, oh, I guess if you wanted to plan for it, you can look it up.
Yeah, we like the characters if the line's short, but my
Mhm.
daughter's never been super like, we have to see them. So I guess I don't go out of my way to look at the schedule, but that makes sense.
I think it's fun when you just kind of randomly come across them too.
Yeah, you're like, oh, hey. So there is a sandy spot on the right-hand side when you get off the boat and you're walking toward the tram that when she was 2, I took pictures of her there. And they're so sweet and they're hanging in her bathroom because it was like sand, tropical. And it's so overgrown now. It's just shows you how time changes. So I know it's the right tree, but there's so many more things. So I like kind of forced her to stand there and smile for me so I could have the comparison photos from when she was so little to now. So we just did that really quick.
You thought you were going to compare her growth, but you're comparing the growth of
the islands. Like
the islands. Yeah.
I've seen it before. Every time we go, I look. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm pretty sure this is the spot, but there's so much more greenery than when she was little. Because she used to be able to walk around the tree and now you can't. Like that's how much the greenery's grown out. Okay, so we took the tram to, I believe it's Pelican Point, which is the second stop. And you get off and you walk and there's a check-in desk for the cabana. So we went and did the check-in. And then they have you walk back over to where the trams are, but they had someone in a golf cart come pick you up and drive you to the cabanas.
Mhm.
You could walk also. And we didn't realize until later that it's actually not that far of a walk. But we took the golf cart this time. We went back there and then we were greeted by a cast member at the cabana and she gave us like a little tour of the space. And I had this little tiny camcorder sort of thing I was bringing around, super tiny. And I was just kind of filming as we were doing it. And she actually asked me to turn it off when she was showing me around the tour of the place, which I did. But I was like, okay, it's interesting.
She didn't want to be
Like the
filmed.
privacy, I guess. No. She's like, is that recording? I was like, oh yeah, I can turn it off though. And she's like, okay, yeah, could you turn it off? So I did. So with the cabana, there was a mini fridge with soda water, a big bowl of fruit, and cold face towels. They had beach towels, sunscreen, chips, granola bars. You could have had access to snorkeling equipment. I think they needed to bring you there to get it, and then they would have brought you back. But I don't really see where you would snorkel on this part of the island. There's definitely no submersed character statues to see or anything. So we just opted not to do it this time. They also have the floats. So they have these mats and these big inner tubes you can use. And I knew they came with sand toys, but realized a little bit in that we hadn't had any. So there's a buzzer you can push to have the cast member come over and help. And she got them for us right away. That was good. Location 15, pro and con. It's wood. right? The ground is wood, and I don't know what had done it, but something had sort of tore up the floor a little bit. So if you're not careful, my daughter definitely could have gotten splinters on the wood. I'm kind of surprised I didn't clean that up, but that's okay. We were right across from bathrooms, so that was super nice location-wise. We really weren't that far from walking out of the Cabana area and being close to where Cookies too would be and other parts of like the splash pad and the bike rentals. We really weren't far from those. This is pretty, but you could see the ones past us as the numbers got up had very little greenery. They were closer together. So if you like to have space and if you even have the option to move around which cabana you pick, you might want to consider that. Like I said, the smaller number ones seemed to have a lot more greenery, or maybe they were a little further back from the beach. So you had a little path to walk down to get to the ocean. Also, and this was different from our experience in November because we did share a cabana with someone who was in 12, which was only a few down from where we were. The tide goes out, right away from the out pretty early. So by mid-afternoon, you like couldn't swim in front of where we were. You had to go quite a bit over to reach where the water was. And then it just kind of felt like you didn't feel like swimming anymore because it got so shallow. Because they do have a roped off area you can't go past for water. So there are benefits to being in the lower number cabanas if you're into swimming and whatnot.
So you would have preferred something lower than 15.
Yeah. But that's my preference. Somebody else wouldn't care. It's so nice if you can do it. They were not cheap. It was $880 for the day, and we didn't split with anyone, so that was all on us. But you have a home base. If it rains, you can stay there. If you wanted to get your lunch and bring it back to the cabana, the staff said they would come and take it away for you. They did note the birds try and steal food, and that's true. It ate my pina colada straw, which was this like edible sugar straw.
It's such a good straw.
Yes. They ate it. They were eating it, so I didn't drink out of that anymore. But we also let them know that we had the paddle boat reservation at 11:15. So they said they'd ensure a golf cart would come back and get us and bring us over. So my daughter just swam, played in the sand for a bit, and then we eventually got ourselves together to go over to do the paddle boat. And the plan was to do paddle boat, gift shop, and eat over there. Because at that point we knew my daughter would need to eat lunch. And then we planned to come back. And I think I told you a later time for this reservation. We changed it. I think I had it at 2:15 originally and I moved it up.
Okay. I only wrote down paddle boat reservation, so I don't recall the time. But
Yeah,
you moved it up when you boarded the boat and were kind of adjusting your reservation?
No, I moved this beforehand because I tried to think logistically. You had to be back on the ship by 4, which I feel like was a little earlier than the last time we had been on Castaway. So I didn't want to do the paddle boat at 2:15 and then have to get back to the cabana and then leave like right away. So I wanted it more central in the day so we could enjoy the cabana morning and afternoon before we left. So I moved it up to 11:15 for that. This was fun because the cast member picked us up in the golf cart, drove us literally on the sand beach, and delivered us right where the line was to get in line for the excursions. It felt very VIP.
Very.
To be right up there. So that was fun. Paddle was fun. We've never done the excursions over there. It felt busy, but not crowded. Weather again was beautiful. And we were able to go really close to the ship. And I thought that was fun to get that view of the ship from the water. My daughter's legs were too short to paddle herself. So if you have, a 7-year-old that thinks they want to be actually paddling, that might not be an option. So she sat on the back. We got a 4-person one. So my husband and I paddled while she sat in the back.
And you got your exercise in.
Yeah. I loved it. I wanted to go all over. I thought it was great. It was not easy to paddle, but, we kind of knew what to expect.
And then you went back did you get a golf cart ride back to the cabana?
Not until after we had lunch.
Okay.
So we got back, dropped off the swim vests. My husband brought her over to eat right away. I stopped in the gift shop quick and got a few things, met them to eat. And they were laughing. I couldn't figure out why. There's a lot of birds. So if you have a fear of birds, take note of this. Because my mother-in-law is terrified of birds. But apparently they had gotten food and put it down and got up for her to get a drink and came back to find out a seagull had stolen her cheeseburger. So she had to go get her food all over again. So don't keep your food abandoned on Castaway. It will be taken by the animals. Okay. So then we did We must have called somehow. Oh, I know. We walked back to my sister gave me this fancy thing that's turning off. Sorry. So we walked back to the Pelican Point Cabana check-in area and then had a golf cart bring us back to the Cabana. Again, not realizing we really weren't that far of a walk from getting there ourselves. So then we went back and it was just more swimming and playing in the sand. I will say, for anybody justifying the Cabana price, it says you get like up to 9 hours, but there was no way we could have based on when they were allowing people off the ship and back on. They tell you that by 3:30 you had to be out of the Cabana, even though the island was open, the onboard was by 4. And if you wanted them to bring you in a golf cart to the ship, you had to be out by 3. So it definitely cuts your time off if you're trying to take full advantage of the Cabana space. So we opted to stay until 3:30 and then we walked to the Pelican Point area and took the tram back to the ship. And they said that runs until about for this day, 3:45, which is when you had to be back on board.
Yeah.
So there was no 9 hours happening at the Cabana. That wasn't really an option.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to figure out the time you can even get onto the island, and then the Cabana has reduced hours from that. So
yeah, because I think you could get off at 7:30 and we got off around 8. But then by the time you walk to the tram and they drive you over to the Cabana, that's still another, 15, 20-ish minutes if you don't stop along the way.
You got about 7 hours, it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, it's still a lot of time.
It is.
But if you're trying to break it down by hour, it just doesn't quite work out as neat as that. Let me see if I missed anything here. Yeah, then we got on the ship and we did things that evening.
On the ship.
On the ship.
What did you do that evening?
Oh my gosh. Wait a second here. Okay, so I wanted to do bingo. I told you I had won bingo before. Not win bingo this time. But my daughter was very excited about it. And we opted for the ones where you pay and then it's like a digital, it's almost like an iPad. So it lets you know when you're getting close to win. So we did not win. Someone won the coverall, but not the $10,000 coverall. But apparently, according to the people around me, she had won 2 times prior on the ships. This is her 3rd time winning.
That is wild.
Winning bingo.
That's how she's paying for the cruises.
Yeah, she basically paid off her cruise. I know. She had won 3 times. And you know what? When I was checking in too, I said something about the $10,000 prize. And the cast member said they had someone on the ship that won the $10,000, booked another cruise with it, and won the $10,000 again. And I was like, that's not going to happen to anyone else in the history of,
Lightning
Disney bingo.
Lightning can't strike twice.
That would be nice if it was me. It was not. We did not win that. Okay, so then after that, we got dressed and we had dinner at Worlds of Marble this night. This is where we brought our tip envelopes. And I'll just note, I also, in addition to not canceling Olaf soon enough, did not do the prepaid gratuity soon enough, but don't panic. They automatically just charged it to the room and still gave us these little papers with the prepaid gratuities. And then we just added to it depending on what we felt we wanted to. And we brought those with us to dinner that night.
People do ask about the tipping a lot with cruises. And it's just to clarify what Taraneh said. We do the prepaid tips usually, but if you don't, they will auto charge it to your room. If you really don't want them to do it, you can go to the desk and ask them to remove it. But don't.
Yeah, no, we did. And that price-wise, I think that was $48 a person for the length of the cruise ship. That was the prepaid amount. And then, you can tip whatever above it.
And as you were saying, you took your envelopes to dinner, right?
Well, the stateroom, we left it for the stateroom host in the room. And then the other 3 are all people you're going to see at dining. The head server, the assistant server, and then I can't remember the name of the other gentleman. He sort of oversees and stops over to greet you each night at the table. So we brought them that night. Okay, so then we went to the atrium. We might have just been wandering a little bit, but they were doing something called Who's Behind the Curtain? Again, another show we didn't plan for, but just came upon. It was very cute because they had kids come up and they would ask questions like, does this person wear orange? Does this person like sports? And they had to try and guess the character. But then the characters came out behind the curtain and gave them hugs. And it was just like another fun opportunity to see the characters. And my daughter played right next to me just watching. So that was cute.
That's very cute.
And then She somehow convinced me to go swimming with her. I didn't want to go swimming. The 11th deck, it's very windy, even in beautiful weather at night. It's very windy and it can feel really chilly, but I agreed to go with her. So this was around 8. It was basically empty. The pools on the Wish are difficult. Most of them are very shallow and seemingly intended for children, and they're on different levels. So she wanted to go in like the pool that was deeper, but that was the most crowded pool. So we avoided it. I did go with her on there's a larger one that you can see the movie from. I mean, you can see the movie from pretty much any of them, but I went in there. They are heated, if anyone's wondering. So that was nice. It was not nice getting out after
They
from the
can't heat
heated
the
pool to
air,
the cool water. No, it's not.
unfortunately.
No. So then I did agree to go on the Aqua Mouse with her. I've been on it before, but we went up no line. You get absolutely drenched. So if you think you're not gonna, don't even try, because as you're going through the beginning, these like monitors sort of spray water right in your face. So just be expecting that. We went around, no one was in line, and we just got to stay on and go around again. And honestly, could have kept doing it, but they needed to close it to check something for technical reasons. So we just bowed out at that point and didn't do that. Also, a note is we didn't do the splash pad, the Toy Story splash pad this time, but pay attention because the different ships have different age limitations with this. So when we were on the Fantasy, my daughter was still 7. And staff asked her, "How old are you?" Because you have to be 7 or under to use the splash pad on the Fantasy. And my daughter's kind of tall for her age. And it was not a problem once she said her age. But I looked up ahead of time because of that on the Wish. It says it's under 6, I think. Where it's 6 and under. So if you have kids of different ages, it's possible the older one might not be able to join in. What's nice, at least on the Wish, is that the splash pad's kind of tucked behind where the main pools are. So it's not, staring at the face of the kids. Like the Nemo splash pad is right near the pool and very visible on the other ships. So you can avoid the Toy Story splash pad if you're concerned your older child might feel left out. But I'd pay attention to the ages for that. Again, because this was such a short cruise, this was the night where we now had to have our bags packed up by 10:30 if we wanted them to take them off. So we just got back in the room and I packed stuff up and we got her bath and she went to bed. And that was that day.
Did you know age is one of the most common causes of dry eyes because we can produce fewer tears as we get older? Give your dry, burning, or irritated eyes a daily refresh with Refresh Optive Mega 3 Lubricant Eye Drops, a preservative-free formula that provides fast-acting, lasting relief. These artificial tears deliver enhanced hydration that nourishes the eye's surface to help protect your natural tears from evaporating. Specially crafted with inactive ingredients like natural plant-based oil and antioxidants, and enhanced with moisture-locking technology, this triple action formula works to soothe symptoms and prevent further irritation. Refresh Optive Mega 3 is safe to use as often as needed. Find your Refresh online or in the eye drop aisle at your favorite drugstore, grocery, Walmart, or Target.
Ugh, spam calls. Sound familiar? Introducing Line 2. Get a second phone number right on your existing phone. Imagine discounts, appointments, online forms. Handle it all without giving out your personal number. It's like having a secret weapon against spam. And when those unwanted calls sneak through, boom, blocked. No more interruptions, no more stress. Stay connected, stay protected. Keep your main number safe and out of harm's way. Ready to take back your phone? Visit line2.com/audio or download Line 2 in the App Store today.
That was that day. And since that was the last night, that means Monday, April 14th, the next day was your debarkation.
I know it was. So they tell you at dinner that you can come for a sit down. We opted not to. We kind of like to let the schedule be in our hands and not feel tied down to the table. So we did go back to Marceline Market and did breakfast. That was around 8:00. And then we got off the ship around 8:30. We picked up our luggage. Customs was very quick. And when we exited the terminal, at least this terminal, again, it's not the typical Disney one, they guided us to the left and you checked in for your bus transfer back to the resort. So they told us which bus to get on to bring us to Animal Kingdom Lodge. I'm not sure when it departed, but we got to the resort around 11. We were the second stop on that bus. There were only 3 stops, I think it was going to.
And you're the second one. And I think you were talking about the difference being taking it from the Hyatt. And if you take it from a resort or to a resort, from a resort, it's got multiple stops. Whereas the
Exactly.
Hyatt wouldn't have stops, right?
No, the Hyatt just went directly there. It's also a little longer. I think it was like an hour and 20 minutes, and it could have been traffic reasons, but it took longer to get to the Disney Resort than it did to get from the Hyatt to the port. So we got to Animal Kingdom Lodge. We were staying in Jumbo House. I went to check us in and wanted to double check that they could keep us in the same room for 2 nights. And this was a request I had made, but they were technically 2 reservations. Lady was lovely. She said yes. And I was like, I heard there's different views for this room type. And she's let me see if we can get you a partial Savannah view. So she called and she did. She was lovely. So I was very excited. I was very excited for our room, but it was not ready. And now I had to figure out what to do with this day. So things got a little switched. So initially when I did the pre-trip, I told you this day we were going to swim at the resort until my husband left. Then we were going to get dinner probably at Grand Floridian and then end up at Polynesian. That did not happen.
Okay.
My friend who was going to meet us the following night decided this was the night she could meet us. And I did know that before the cruise. So I was flip-flopping days around. Instead, we were going to do the boardwalk. But because our room wasn't ready and I had no idea when it would be ready, we didn't feel compelled to open up the luggage and transfer swim stuff over because it just felt too quick to have to pack it the night before for me to delve into that level of detail. So we opted not to swim until after my husband was going to leave later. And because it was so nice, we went over to the boardwalk during the day. So we checked the luggage with Bell Services and took a lift over to the boardwalk. And let me see the series of events here. And you know what? I actually jumped too far ahead. So we didn't leave Animal Kingdom yet. We went to look around the pool area because we were going to get lunch at the Mara, which is the poolside dining at Animal Kingdom. So we found one of the Savannah guide activities. I told you this is where you do an activity and you earn a bead. And they add to this bead, and she had earned one prior. So we did a flamingo one. She earned a bead there. And then we did a couple of the poolside games, just hanging out. And then we did lunch at the Mara and we stopped in the gift shop. Then we did what I just told you.
Which
So we
is to
did
go to
put
the
stuff in
boardwalk.
there. We went over to the boardwalk. So my daughter's been begging, and we finally did the Surrey bike rental. And she was still young enough that she could sit in the front.
And
A little basket issue. She was a tight fit, but she was. And that's good too, because she was too short to reach the puddles on that also. So that brings you all the way around in front of Beach Club, Yacht Club, and back again. We were warned there were hills, and it can be kind of a tough ride. So if you don't feel up to the challenge, don't. We saw people turn around and give up and go back.
Oh,
We
they
did
did?
okay. Yeah. We saw
Yeah.
someone get out and try and push their group, and then they gave up and turned around. She loved it. We punished ourselves unknowingly because I've never taken this loop. So as you pass Beach and Yacht Club and you end up over this bridge, there's a big boardwalk sign on the side. And I'm like, oh, how pretty. Nope. We went right past it and ended up by the Swan Dolphin Hotel. And we needed to turn around, but they're not really meant to be turned around. So we finished that and ended up going up another hill to get ourselves back. But then we were okay. Also, it was cool to see the pool area at Beach and Yacht Club was completely destroyed. I knew they did renos, but this thing was gutted and they had bags of, I'm guessing, sand all over the place. I took a video as we were going through. It's
It's
just fun to
intense.
see. It's just fun to see. Then I went to Cake Bake Shop because I love it. And my daughter wanted a fancy drink and she didn't like it. So then she stopped at, I can't remember the name of the place. There's a place that has Mickey pretzels and strawberry daiquiris really close by there. She got one of those and we sat and watched for a bit and then took a lift back to the resort. Our room wasn't ready until 3:50. Normal check-ins at 4. So we just got our luggage, got in the room. My husband got settled and then he headed out to the airport.
He had to leave.
He had to leave. We also did a Cake Bake Shop taste testing. Which I got 3 slices of cake and we went through and decided which ones were the good ones.
Do you have a verdict?
The carrot cake.
Here. Oh, that's my favorite anyway.
It's the best one and there's no nuts in it, which is my favorite. So yeah, then I did bring her swimming for about an hour. It was kind of chilly. Again, getting out when you're nighttime swimming. And then we went to Boma for dinner, and my friend joined us there. And she very sweetly gifted my daughter a gift card, which we used the next day at the parks. Then we went to bed.
And that was that. So now
And that was
it's
it.
you and your daughter, and it is Tuesday, April 15th, Animal Kingdom. And you said in the pre-trip you might do a premiere pass.
We didn't.
You did not.
No. And when I was in the park, I tried to, and it was sold out.
Oh, really?
It was. All the parks were sold out.
Wow.
I know. It was kind of crazy. So I did do multi-pass and individual pass lightning lanes before we went.
Mhm.
And I have my plan of what we were going to accomplish. And then I have the reality of what happened.
Mhm. Okay,
So
tell
first-
us. Tell us.
Okay, so first we didn't rope drop, and I didn't plan to because I knew we were just tired. I was checking in the morning the wait times for Expedition Everest because my plan was to go there first and not book a lightning lane for it. So all morning it was like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Fast forward, but then I'll backtrack. Once we actually got back there, it was 40 minutes. And when we got off, it was 70 minutes. So you could tell the crowd very much this week. And we had just gone in February during break too, so I know how congested it can get. I don't
Mhm.
usually panic because I know how to work it. It's fun. But this is the most ridiculous, sad thing that happened to me. So we had no dining reservations planned because I knew we had some options, but they have these stuffed pancake sandwiches, which sound disgusting, and they're so good. And this really was one of the reasons I chose this park this day. Like I told my
What's-
friends about it.
Where are these pancakes that you're talking about?
Yeah. Let me backtrack the history of these. There was a time I brought my daughter and she was again hangry. The
Mhm.
only food was a booth in Pandora. And I bought it out of necessity and was like, wow, this is amazing. So then we went in February, I went seeking it in Pandora and they didn't have it anymore and sent me to the other side of the park. So right now there's only 2 places in the park that have it. It's Drinkwalla, which is over the bridge to Asia, I believe.
Uh-huh.
And then Trek Snacks, which is right next to Expedition Everest. But I only really knew about Drinkwalla. So we walk into the park. I take a left because it looked kind of crowded, and we went through Rainforest Cafe to get into the park. There was like one person ahead of us, so we get in there fine. My plan, I'll go back to my food thing. Let me tell you the plan and then how some of my plans crumbled, and I was very sad. So I wanted to see Divine.
Mhm.
We've never seen her. I thought she was in the park when you take a right by the tree. I was wrong. She's apparently a lot closer where you get the stroller rentals.
Cap styles.
Yes. So we missed her, and I didn't want to sacrifice time to go back. So we did not see her this time.
That's a heck of a hike if you're already in the park.
Yeah, we were already past the tree and had hooked a left or
Mhm.
right. So I just stopped a cast member to ask, and they're like, oh no, you missed her. She's way further back. So we got in, so that was the plan, was to see her. Then we were going to do Expedition Everest for standby. Then the way I booked the lightning lanes was sort of doing a backwards clock to end in Pandora for the day. So I told you before, I like doing some things that are new and some things that we like. And some of the things that we did, she's done before, but doesn't remember because she was little. So Cali River Rapids was one of those. So after Everest, we were going to go to Cali River. And then neither of us have done Maharaja Jungle Trek, so we wanted to try that. Then I wanted to see if we could pop in for Feathered Friends in Flight because she likes birds a lot. And people on the podcast have said they enjoyed it.
Unlike who is it, your mother?
Oh my God. My mother-in-law is
Mother-in-law.
petrified. You know what? Every time we go on cruises, she won't get off at Castaway Day. And I'm just piecing together right now. That might be why.
The birds.
Like when we sat to eat, she was panicked. If they're near her, like she freaks out. So yeah, that's not my daughter. So then after that, we were going to do Kilimanjaro Safari, maybe some Tree of Life paths near the tree, and end in Pandora with the 2 rides there. So that was the plan for the day. So in the morning, I kept checking wait times for Everest. Again, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, fine. We get into the park around 10 and went through Rainforest Cafe. I did bring my daughter's stroller specifically because I knew we were doing the park. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bothered. We really don't need it on the cruise. And she's 7. She's technically too big for the stroller, but she fits and it works, and she can't handle all the walking. So it's a necessity to us. So then we went to this Tree of Life and we took a right. Almost anytime we've ever gone before, we hook left to Africa. So this was like a new route for us to take. So I go over the bridge. I've got this little camera with me, right? I'm going by and I'm like, there it is. There's my pancake sandwich sign. Walk by it, end up over by Everest, realize it's a 40-minute wait. And I'm like, I don't know. So I turn around. This is all within a span of 15 minutes. Turn around, stop at one of the guest services umbrellas, the blue umbrellas. I'm like, I think I want to upgrade to Premier Pass. What can I do? I booked all these other rides. They're like, you have to go in and book it first, and then we can work on reimbursing you the difference. And literally, this is just, it had nothing to do with what I had pre-planned. I just wanted to be able to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. So I go on and it was sold out, all 4 parks. So yep, this is indicative of how crowded this park looks today. And that's why for that moment, I was like, I'm going to do Premier Pass because it looks really busy today. So I couldn't do it.
And for Animal Kingdom to be sold out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So me prioritizing this sandwich I want, I'm like, well, they're going to stop serving it at some point for breakfast. And if we're going to go wait in line for Everest, which I was going to do, let's go back and get it. Stroll back. The sign is gone. And I knew this. I walked in. I'm like, you guys sold out? And they're like, yes. And I was so sad for about 5 minutes. And then they said Trek Snacks had it, which is where we had been. I didn't realize that they were also sold out. So I never got it. And it was devastating. So if anybody goes there soon, have one in my honor and savor it because I was sad. So then we went back, parked the stroller, and got in line for Everest. It said 40 minutes. It was more like 55. It was much longer. My daughter handled the line fine, probably because it was first thing in the morning. I'm still glad we did it because I wanted to leave that part of the park and I didn't plan on going back the rest of the day. And I didn't have Cali River booked until earliest 10:55 anyway. So we had some time to go. So we went on Everest.
Your daughter's nerves don't extend to roller coasters because Everest is an intense one.
No, it's more like she doesn't want people looking at her. She doesn't want the attention. We didn't go this time anyway, but the last time we went in February to the Lion King, Festival of Lion King, we were sitting in the front and she was chosen to come up and do the animal sounds for the group. And she turned around and didn't know the animal sound and came to me sobbing. People were looking at me. So that's where her anxiety comes from. This stuff, no, she's totally up for adventure.
They purposely do that on the giraffe one.
That's the one we had.
And so I always think as a kid, I wasn't shy, but I would have been embarrassed to not know.
Yes.
Like, ask me about a lion. Ask me about anything. Don't ask me about a giraffe.
Well, I kind of gave her a heads up. I'm like, oh, we're in a spot where they might come over and ask you to participate. We're so close. But in my head, I think I was thinking of the end where they pick kids to do the music and just completely forgot this whole spiel. And yeah, we were the giraffe group. And the woman was talking to her for a while and I thought she was going to give her a heads up and she didn't. So when she got up there, my daughter's just, I don't know.
And
she's really nervous. She's embarrassed.
She's not supposed to know, but gosh, that's embarrassing.
And she was everybody else they picked were older, and she was just so little up there. So that's where her nervousness comes from, is the attention and everybody looking at her.
Yeah, but she's game for a big ride.
Oh, she loves roller coasters. She puts her arms up the whole time, like they're her favorite. So we went on Everest. I don't want to go on Everest anymore. It makes me nauseous. I get kind of nauseous on it. It's also kind of jerky at certain parts, like you hit your head on the back and. I don't know, but she loved it.
Yeah, that's an easy one to age out of.
I know. My husband likes it. He likes roller coasters too, but he wasn't there, so I had to be me. We did get front row, which is fun at Everest. If you want it, they'll stand you in a separate little line, and as it becomes available, they'll let you go up. But we didn't have anybody in front of us, so we did get to sit in the front. That was fun. And we stopped in the gift shop. My daughter she loves these baby. Have you seen them? They're in every shop. They're like baby characters bundled up. Like little, she's got a billion of them, but she bought one with the gift card my friend had gifted her, which was sweet. So we sent her a picture of it. And we've been doing the Wilderness Explorer book since she's 4, but we never seek it out. It's just if we happen to come across it, we do it. But now we've been so much that she wasn't missing that many. So we did one near Everest. I later found out there's another one in Everest we were missing. So I was kind of irritated we missed it, but she did one of those. And then because I couldn't get my delicious pancake, it was time for me to eat something. So I decided to do lunch at Yak Yeti. So we went over there.
Did you have a reservation or no?
No reservation, but we have the Landry's card, and I don't know if anyone's mentioned that in a while. So we got this years ago, but you pay like $25 for the card. They give you a $25 gift card to use, but then you get priority seating at the restaurant. So we walked up, there were people in ahead of us, also groups of 2. They were told a 30-minute wait. We gave our name, brought her to the bathroom, came out, our table was ready. So it was less than 5 minutes.
It's like a lightning lane.
It was so great. It was so great. And I liked where they sat us too. We were on the main floor toward the front. So we had windows. So you could see people walking by. Like we saw Kevin wander by while we were sitting there. So you still felt immersed in Disney sitting there. And I had no idea, but the waitress told me because my birthday was within 45 days of us visiting, there was a $25 birthday credit. So we actually got a discount off the check.
That is a heck of a credit.
I know. That was the cheapest meal we had this whole trip anywhere.
Yeah, I guess so.
Was that there? And the food was fine. It's just kind of chain restaurant food. I don't know if it's just what we ordered. I wasn't like blown away, but it did the job. So I didn't put the time for that. Just to bring you back to time though, Expedition Everest, when we got on, it was 11:26. And when we got off, it was a 70-minute wait at that point. And you can just tell certain rides. Like I think Dinosaur was like a 70-minute wait that day. I was like, okay, I know Dinosaur's leaving at some point and that might be why, but every ride was really long. Yeah. Really long. So then I went toward the Cali River Rapids entrance. And when I was in the bathroom, we actually bumped into friends of ours from home that we had no idea would be there. So that was funny. And there was actually a bigger group of them that had moved on, but we took a quick picture and then went on Cali River Rapids. We did buy ponchos. It's luck of the draw. If you don't want to get wet, put a poncho on. And I also brought us water shoes to change into because I didn't want to deal with wet sneakers the rest of the day. And that was worth it. So those are tips for that. We had the lightning lane at this point and we got on around 1:25. And you know what else didn't make me feel bad about the premiere after we spoke to is the fact that there's these 2-hour window after your window to still get on. And I was just like, there's only so much we can accomplish in this amount of time today because the park closed at 7. So I just felt so relaxed going from one thing to the next because you really just had a very large window to check into the rides.
Does make it easier.
Much easy. So she wanted a Mickey bar. I let her have that. And then we went into the Maharaja Jungle Track. It was beautiful. So many like murals. I love the old look of the old stone and everything. That was really pretty. We did see the baby tiger. It was in a weird viewing section. Like they have windows, but the center is like the wall. So you kind of had to be on a side window peeking sideways to see it. I didn't like the setup of that, but she did see the little tiger. It was cute.
And were there a lot of people looking for that baby tiger while you were there?
Yeah, the windows were pretty congested. We had to kind of wait our turn to get in. Yeah. But she thought it was cute. We did a few more Wilderness Explorer badges were in there. And then we ended up in, I looked at the name of it, Anandapur Royal Forest. It's this enclosed bird area. My daughter loved it in here. They just could like walk by you like it was no big deal, but they were such unique looking birds and it just felt like you had access to them in a way you couldn't normally. So she loved that. We were towards the exit and she said, I want to go back in. I said, all right. So we just stayed in there for a while and she enjoyed that. That was cute. We left there and they had these sort of water sprinklers where you could cool off right outside the trail. So she played in that for a little bit and then we went over to the safari. I love the safari. She actually is kind of bored of the safari. And it surprises me because every time it's different, but she just thinks it's kind of boring. But I brought her anyway. We went anyway. Not a great time of day to go on. And I know earlier the better. There were not as many animals as usual. We didn't get on until 3:10. Standby was 70 minutes. We did lightning lane for that. We did see the baby giraffe Tucker, which is new. He was cute. He was sitting. So you just saw his long little neck sticking up, but that was sweet.
He's a very popular attraction these days.
Well, normally when you go in the savannah, you can see the giraffes and we couldn't see any. I'm like, oh no, they're hiding, but they were kind of around the bend and there were quite a few of them and the baby was over there. So that was cute. We got off that and A food goal was Nomad Lounge if possible, but I didn't know what to expect with the crowds because you can't reserve ahead of time. So we started walking over the bridge from Africa. I went on the app and put us in the wait time. I think it was only 10 minutes and immediately got a text the table was ready.
You know
There was
why?
no wait.
The
Why?
busiest times are not planners who know about these things.
Like the standby?
They don't know that Nomad Lounge is like a great place to go.
Well, they should. It's amazing.
So this is why people like you have an advantage during busy travel time.
Yeah. Oh, you know what I meant to point out too is when we bumped into the family that we knew, they were in Florida just on vacation and decided last minute to show up for the day. And total, they had 7 kids in their group and 6 adults. And they've been before. And the husband was like, yeah, we didn't book any advanced things. Every ride's taking us like 2 hours to get through. So he was feeling the effects of the lack of planning. If you're just going to show up during a busy week, it's not fun.
But also, I'm just doing some quick math. Did you say 13 people for the day?
Yeah.
And they're waiting 2 hours for a ride? That's a very expensive day.
Yeah. He said they had already been up did Flight of Passage or something like that. Yeah, there were a lot of them. So it's worth it to plan. That's the tip.
Totally is.
It's worth it to
It's
plan.
not a great place to be spontaneous.
No, but the luck was with the weather is it wasn't hot. So even waiting in line for Expedition Everest didn't feel like a punishment because it was just beautiful out. You didn't have the humidity. It probably would have been worse, midsummer, obviously. All right. So we went to Nomad Lounge. We got a seat right away. We were sat outside due to availability. We ordered a bunch of stuff, including the bread service. My daughter loved the Brazilian cheese bread, and the waitress was a doll. Like she brought extra out just for her to have of that at no cost, which was nice. And we lingered there until about 5:20. We got the churros, of course, in case you were nervous about that. We got the churros. That happened.
And you lingered until 5:20, and then what?
Then we went to Pandora to kind of close out the evening. There's this strange plant that's sort of interactive when you're walking. You can touch it and it like spits water out. It was doing this cool fog thing I hadn't seen before toward the base. And it just looked like magical. My daughter sat down doing yoga poses. I'll send a picture with this. It was really cool. It just looks kind of fun amongst all the colors. So while we were there, I hear my name again, but it's the same family we had bumped into earlier, but it was all of them.
Okay.
So they're like, hey, how are you doing? And we like caught up. And the one is in my daughter's class and they acted like they didn't know each other. It's so funny how kids get shy outside of their normal element. But I took a picture for them so they could send it because there were so many of them.
I remember being a kid and having a hard time interacting with people outside of the setting where I knew them.
Yeah, like seeing your
Teacher
It
at a
felt
grocery
weird.
store. Oh my gosh. No. And so I guess the same could be true for kids in the same class. No, I'm used to seeing you at a desk.
Now that you're saying that, when we were on the cruise, like the first day, my daughter recognized a child that goes to her aftercare, but she doesn't know her. And I'm not shy. I was like, let's go say hi. And she was like, no, like she was super nervous at the prospect of saying hi to this child that she doesn't really know, but knows. So yeah, that's fun. All right. So we did the strange plant. I don't know what that's called. And then we did Navi River. We got on at 5:45. We walked right on. That's one I would never wait in line for. And I know it's been said a million times, but we're there. Why not? We have a
It's
lightning lane. Why not?
really good reason to have a lightning lane.
That's the reason. Also, when we had gotten off of Cali River Rapids, I did put us back into a lightning lane for Expedition Everest again as a maybe, which we did end up using. I'll get to that in a minute. So then after that, we went over to Flight of Passage. That was around 6:00. We got on. That's my favorite ride. That's probably one of my favorite rides in all of Disney World is Flight of Passage. You really feel like you're flying. There was a woman with 2 children next to us, and the daughter was 8 and the son was maybe 5. And the daughter was starting to panic when we got into the room where he'd sit down on the ride vehicle, and they were not going to allow either her or him to wait off. So the mother had to leave with the children to then figure out how to come back. And you could tell she was kind of frustrated about it, but it can be scary, the pre-shows. I tried it when my daughter was 4 and she was too scared to do it too.
Yeah. I think the pre-shows really they feel dramatic to me.
Yeah, because they're trying to immerse you,
Exactly.
But
And it seems scary. And it's other than motion sickness, it's not really scary.
No. So when my daughter was younger, she was scared when what is the bird called? Can't think of it. When it kind of comes at you, and then there's a part where a whale comes up kind of close and she was scared, but I just kind of held her hand. I was right
Oh,
next to
I
her.
see.
But she was afraid from the pre-show that she was going to turn blue into one of these characters. That's where her fear came from.
Okay. Yes. I mean, it does look like that's what's happening. But
I
that's the whole
know.
point of having an avatar.
I know. She loves it now, though.
And
It's so great.
She knows she's a seasoned pro at 7.
Now she's a pro, for better or worse. I don't know. So we went to the gift shop. She must have seen another child wearing like the little ears with this funky band. So we found that and she got some glowing stick and that made her happy. And at this point it was 6:43 and I looked at her and I was like, if you want to go on Expedition Everest again, I will try my best, but you need to sit in the stroller and I will go. And I like sped walk us to the back of the park and we did get on at 6:57, but walk on. Like half of the ride was empty. And it was hilarious when we got off because they have the ride photos and there's just full empty carts, just like
Yeah.
all over the place. But that's me. I'm like, what else can we fit in before we can't fit in anything else? So she did get to go on that twice. So that was fun. Closing it out. And then
Did you then leave the park and go somewhere else?
back to the resort, but we stopped at the gift shop at the way back, went back to the resort, and then I got her to bed around 10:30 because we were supposed to be leaving the next morning. So I pre-packed our stuff. I left out the stuff we needed for the next day.
In the pre-trip, you mentioned having a dining reservation at Ale and Compass, but I guess because you went to the Boardwalk the night before, you canceled that?
Yeah, so I did cancel because I had already knew before we went that I was going to move Boardwalk to the first day anyway. And that's what I told my friend originally. She was going to meet us at the Boardwalk. She was flexible, bless her heart. So when we went during the day instead, I said, why don't you just come to Animal Kingdom and we'll go to Beaumont? And it was not a problem getting a reservation there. So I had no dining reservations at all this day. I had canceled them all ahead of time.
Did you know age is one of the most common causes of dry eyes because we can produce fewer tears as we get older? Give your dry, burning, or irritated eyes a daily refresh with Refresh Optive Mega 3 Lubricant Eye Drops, a preservative-free formula that provides fast-acting, lasting relief. These artificial tears deliver enhanced hydration that nourishes the eye's surface to help protect your natural tears from evaporating. Specially crafted with inactive ingredients like natural plant-based oil and antioxidants, and enhanced with moisture-locking technology, this triple action formula works to soothe symptoms and prevent further irritation. Refresh Optive Mega 3 is safe to use as often as needed. Find your Refresh online or in the eye drop aisle at your favorite drugstore, grocery, Walmart, or Target.
You know that feeling when you're about to score 30% off, but they want your number? Ugh. Give them your Line 2 number instead. It's a second line on your phone, perfect for nabbing promo codes without inviting spam to your party. Sign up for every discount under the sun, then block the junk texts that follow. You get all the perks, but none of the spammy baggage. More codes, less chaos. Visit line2.com/audio or download Line 2 in the App Store and get your shopping sidekick today. Because the only thing blowing up your phone should be good deals.
So here's where some more mistakes were made, Shannon.
Or almost to the end, and I was like, maybe
I
that...
made mistakes. I'll
Okay.
be brief about it, but I did what you suggested, and I went out and found a flight that would leave at 9 instead of our 8:25 a.m. in the hopes that Mears wouldn't pick us up so early to bring us to the airport. That would have been fine, but when I got back to the hotel, I saw that our pickup time was for 5:20 a.m. And we are just not early morning people, especially with how late the night had gone the day before. So I called them and I said, I don't know if I'm allowed to cancel, but I'd actually like to cancel our transport to the airport or just eat the cost, whatever. And I was going to take a lift. And they said it was too short. I didn't have a compelling enough reason for them to fully refund it, but they could move it to a different pickup time. I'm like, okay, when? And they said 6:40. So it's all right, sure. So we get on at 6:40, fine, get to the airport. And I'm like, oh no, this is starting to cut it close. So we fly Southwest and I just had one bag to check. So I go to get the tag. The line looks empty. We have TSA pre-check. I just wasn't panicked. I know my way around MCO. So I get in line just to be told later that where we were flying, we needed to be on the other Southwest check-in line, which was extremely long. So I'm sitting there, I have a feeling we're gonna miss this. So we get up and they wouldn't let us check our bag because it wasn't at least 45 minutes before the flight. So we had to move our flight technically.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah,
Okay,
they wouldn't let
but
us do it.
can you talk me through this? Because you said 6:40 Mears pickup and you had an
Mhm.
8:30 flight. So I guess you were at the airport by 7:10, 7:15.
You know, I don't know, I'd have to check. They stopped at 2 resorts after us, but they were very quick pickups. So I don't know. I mean, I could spend time and check on my phone quickly to see when we actually got to MCL, but I'm not actually sure what time we got there.
Okay, but in the end, it was too close to your flight time, so you had to move your flight time.
Right, because remember, I was in this very long we had to have been 20 minutes or long waiting on this line to check in our luggage. So
Uh-huh.
it was about 7:55, I think, when I got to the counter.
Yeah.
So she said it had to have been checked at least 45 minutes before the flight departed. I even tried to say, I'm like, I feel pretty confident about this. I have TSA pre-check. And she's like, no, we have to rebook you. So the only other, I don't like layover flights with
Mhm.
my daughter. It's too hard. She's always like, when are we landing? When are we going to get there? So we opted for the direct flight that wasn't until 6:55 at night. So I was like, okay. So I drag us and all our stuff to like MCO lobby. And I'm like, well, this is on me. I just didn't plan this right. It's okay. What are we going to do? So I call my husband. I'm like, I'm just going to bring her back with a lift to Animal Kingdom Lodge. And we're just going to swim and just enjoy the day until we have to come back later at night. She's okay. I hang up with him. And then I look down at my hand and realize I left my wedding bands in the hotel room. And I don't sleep with them on, and I had put them in a very specific place to put on in the morning as we're leaving. So then I'm like, well, I guess it was meant to be that I missed this flight because if I realized on the flight I lost them, I would have been flipping out. So I call Disney, can't talk to anybody at the resort front desk. They don't let you. I'm like, look, it's still really early. We had the do not disturb sign on the door. We didn't go to the front desk to check out. We just left. I'm like,
Yes.
it's possible no one's even been in the room yet. Let's
Mhm.
just get back as soon as we can. So she's like, I suggest you submit a missing item report. And I'm like, no, I want it to just be there. I just want it to be there. So we get the lift, we get back to the hotel. I drag all our stuff with us straight to the room, and there's already housekeeping in the room, which surprised me because it was very early still. And she was so sweet. She didn't speak much English, but she understood what I was saying, and she called to someone else. She's like, "It's at the front desk." So I went down to the front desk. They pulled it out. I had it, and everything was fine.
Uh-huh.
So now I just had to figure out how we were gonna spend the rest of the day.
Uh-huh.
So I had to drag the luggage to a sort of discreet hallway and started transferring over swim stuff into a pool bag so that I could check the rest of the stuff with Bell Services. And then I was going to bring her to the Mara to get some food, but it was busy. And I thought, we already swam here at Jambo. Why don't we spend the rest of the day over at Kidani? Because they have the splash pad and all the things. So she was in a mood. And that's fair. Things got mixed up. So I was planning to take they have a little white bus that'll transfer you between the two portions of the hotel. So she was in a mood and didn't want to take the bus. She wanted to walk. She regretted that 5 minutes in, but we walked over. It's only like a 10-minute walk. It was easy enough. I brought her to Sanaa to eat, and 2 bites in, she's, I feel better now. Like her mood completely changed when she had something to eat. So we ate there. I brought her to the arcade on the first level of Kidani, and then we went to the I think it's a community center or family center for a tiny bit, and she was coloring for a little while before we went and set ourselves up to swim at the pool. So what's nice at the Kidani pool, I actually don't know if they have this at the Jambo House, but their bathroom near the pool has a whole like semi-separate area where you can shower, you can get changed, and they have towels in there. So we had lots of space to switch into our swimwear and get situated there. And then we went down, I let her swim. We did the hot tub and all that stuff. We got lunch at the Maha pool bar. It was fine. The menu item sounded better than it was. Like, it was okay. It was fine. We did get a drink. I got something with chocolate in it, and it almost was flavorless. It felt refreshing, but it didn't really taste like much. So I was like, all right. While we were waiting for that, we found another one of those Savannah activities going on near one of the overlooks. So my daughter got another bead. That was nice. And then that was it. After we swam, we got our we switched back into all our I just was like, thinking about it makes me want to sweat, right? It's all the stuff you didn't plan to do this day, but you knew you could do to give her a good day. So we got changed. We did take a bus this time back to Jumbo, got our luggage, put the swim stuff back into the luggage, and then took a lift over to MCO, and the rest of it was smooth. No issues checking the bag. And that was it. We flew home and my husband picked us up at the airport that night.
What if this is the day that your daughter remembers the most?
It could be.
In the future, she's going to remember that one time we
That's what I missed.
swam and we just spent the day doing activities at the resort.
I'd be like, yeah, remember the time you were super mad at me until I gave you something to eat?
Yeah.
She's great. She's used to this. I don't mind making last minute plans. I didn't panic. I was just like, all right, like, how am I going to manage this day? What can we do reasonably? We had a lot of time between when we left the airport and when we needed to be back. So it wasn't like it was a bad decision to go back or anything like that. It worked out.
You said that you had like tips and thoughts related to having a short cruise as well.
Yeah. I don't think we will ever book a 3-night cruise again. Our very first cruise with my daughter was when she was 2 was a 3-night cruise. And I don't remember thinking it was short, but now that I've been on longer itineraries and I actually plan and know what can be done, it is not, I feel like if you like to do all the things, you're going to find this stressful personally. There's too much to do in too short of amount of time and it feels over very quickly. And so that's my tip on that. Think of what you like to do. I will say the Castaway Day felt the most relaxing day for me as the planner because we had our set place. We didn't plan a lot of excursions and I just let swimming be the priority. So that's my first piece on that. I have like takeaways from the cruise and the parks. Do you want me to go through them?
Yeah, let's do it.
If you want a super relaxing cruise, don't overbook things. That's my tip number 1. Pay attention to the deadlines. You need to cancel onboard activities. They vary. Some of them you can cancel 24 hours ahead. So if you're on a long cruise itinerary, you can still cancel while you're on the ship. And some of them you can't. Like the Olaf one. And that was for each child $250 and each adult accompanying $75. So that could have been a very high price tag to be stuck with if it's something you don't really want to do. So just pay attention to that ahead of time.
I can see why you were so adamant about getting it canceled without having to pay. That's expensive.
I know. And, if we couldn't have and we had to go, we would have gone. But it just seemed like such a waste of the limited amount of time we had based on my daughter's likes. And I'm sure somebody else was able to get it and enjoy it. So I'm glad it worked out. But I'm going to pay more attention to that next time. I already told you kids don't have to order off the kids' menu. You can order as many items as you want for dinner. The pool options do seem limited for adults in the main areas. I don't know what the adult pools are like because I haven't gone back there, but I didn't feel not welcome, but I felt sort of out of place getting into the kids' pools with the kids, especially because so many of them were very shallow. Pay attention to the ages permitted in the splash pad area. I went over that with you before. If you're interested, join the Facebook page for the page created for your cruise. So a lot of people were posting when they were planning to cancel reservations. So that was a great way to go on and try and grab stuff. And in the past, we were able to share a cabana with someone because they posted on the Facebook page that they were looking for a family to share with. So that's nothing you could have figured out if you didn't have some way to connect with the other people on your cruise. That's also the way you'll sign up for these fish extender groups if you're interested in signing up and actually coordinating that ahead of time.
And if you meet people on the cruise that you want to stay in contact with, sometimes that's a good place to find them.
Yeah. And like I had booked, it might have been the last cruise. No, this one. I had booked the Royal Gathering for, I think, myself, my husband, and my daughter, and then decided we weren't keeping it. And someone was desperately looking for it on the Facebook page. And I messaged them separately and said, why don't we coordinate a time? I'll let it go and you can refresh. And she was able to get it. And she was like beyond grateful because her daughter was so hoping to get it and couldn't get it. And it feels nice to help people that are going to be on your cruise that, are really looking for something. So that was that. Even if you don't sign up for fish extenders, you can still bring items and share. That worked out really well for my daughter. Bring a card you can leave in the door entrance for lighting so that you can keep your actual cruise card with you and not accidentally forget it because you do need it for things like getting on and off the ship. We did have the magic bands, but didn't use them. I just ended up using the card instead. I don't like having things on my wrist anyway, so that was more convenient for me. If you really want a special activity or an excursion that's sold out, be persistent and don't give up. The Cabana didn't open until the Cabana we snagged was around 30 days from the trip. And I was trying to figure out why so many opened up. And my husband very smartly said, I think that's when most people have to cancel their cruise by. So these must have been people that had it booked and dropped it. And quite a few came available on ours. So be
And
persistent.
you said you were silver, so it's not like you got first
No.
dibs. You just kept checking.
Yeah, the woman that posted on Facebook, I think it was her first cruise, and she said she had been like looking very often. So she snagged one for herself, then went on the Facebook page and said there's a family cabana and adult cabana showing available. And that's when I went on and saw it and snagged it. People were looking after like the next week, and somebody had commented that they themselves had just been able to get one 3 days prior to that. So another one opened after we booked even. So if you're persistent, it can pay off. I've also had luck on cruises going to guest services when you get on the cruise and put your name on a waiting list for cabana. I have been called before and been told they're available.
I wish there was an alert tool for cruise reservations like there is for Disney World dining.
I was thinking that too. Yeah. For Bibbidi, I was like, this would be so nice if I could just be on one of those alert.
Yeah, I need
pages.
the mouse watcher people or whoever. I would need them to just add that because that would be so nice.
That would be really nice. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. That's pretty much for my cruise tips. For parks, I know you've said this a million times. If you're going during a busy year, book the lightning lanes. You're just going to save yourself such a headache of feeling like you're just wasting a lot of time, especially with the little ones. My daughter has no issues waiting in line, but she just doesn't want to. She just gets bored standing there. Like you've kind of hinted at, you really don't need the Premier Pass in Animal Kingdom, especially because of the flexibility of still being able to check in a few hours after your window. And, you know, we didn't do any shows this time, but even if we did, I didn't think we were going to have an issue getting in just because the capacity is so big for the shows. I feel like even if you're in standby, you're probably going to get into the show you're waiting for. Prepare to be flexible, which you said a million times before. See, I didn't panic. I can see how some personalities might, especially your first trip. You're like, this didn't work out. Now what are we going to do? Just be open to what's out there and do your research ahead of time. And just the water. If you're going on anything that involves water and you don't really want to be walking around soaking wet all day, prepare by I even brought extra clothes for my daughter in case her shorts were completely soaked and she was miserable. I just tucked them in the backpack and brought it with us. But changing our shoes was a great decision. That's it.
That's it.
That's all I got.
Lots of good tips. And so it sounds like you are frequent travelers. So when's your next trip?
I had something booked end of August, but I think we're going to cancel it. This was with a bounce back offer previously. I do have a cruise booked with my sister's family in October, but it's on the wish again. And now that I just went on this, I don't really want to go on the same ship this close because it's the same itinerary, but one extra day. So I'm currently in negotiations to try and push them on one in November instead on the Fantasy because it goes to both the Disney Islands. And I loved Lookout Point. Am I saying it right? I loved it. I don't want to... It's not like we can't entertain ourselves, but I don't want it to feel like a repeat of the trip we just went on with an additional child. Like I want them to be able to experience the new island too. So we're working right now on moving it, but that's what's planned right now.
All right. Well, that will be fun. I did have it in my notes from the pre-trip that in the after chat, we should talk about why you like Lighthouse Point so much more.
Yeah.
So this will be a nice segue to get into that. But I appreciate you taking the time to share. And I'm glad that it went pretty well.
It did. Thanks.
I hope you enjoyed my chats with Taraneh. You know, I always love to hear how it goes. I did keep talking with her in the after chat where we talked about things like why she likes Lighthouse more and why she was filming, because she mentioned filming several times, and just some things about related to her Enneagram type and how that plays into travel planning. So if you're a patron, that is up now. And if you're not a patron, what you been waiting on? We love it. We love having a community there and would love to have you as a new patron. I think that'll wrap up this episode of WDW Prep To Go. For more information, please check the show notes in your podcast app or head to the website, WDWPrepSchool.com. Click on podcast at the top. Scroll down to episode 460. Until next time, I will see you on the site.
Some matches are temporary, but your privacy shouldn't be. With Line 2, you get a second phone line just for dating. No need to share your personal number until you're ready. You can chat, text, and even block numbers, all while keeping things fun and private. It's perfect for online dating, blind dates, or just keeping things light. When you're ready to move on, Line 2 lets you cut ties without any drama. Dating should be fun and carefree. Line 2 keeps it that way. Ready to date on your terms? Visit line2.com/audio or download Line 2 in the App Store today.